All right. So, comrades, as has been outlined, my name is Christopher Street. I'm the first Deputy President General of the Union for a while. And let me first of all thank you, the shop steward, and I've been real. As I haven't been in this thing for probably the last 40 years, I can say without any fear of contradiction that I need to thank you, the shop stewards, for taking on the responsibility of representing workers. I know it ain't easy, comrades, because you have the employer to deal with, and then you have the very same worker who had selected you to deal with. Because somehow the worker feel that whatever issue they have, the shop steward or the union official should be prepared to deal with it. So the employer watching you, because he feels there's a rabble rouser and you get in trouble, and the worker watching you because they feel you ain't doing sufficient to give them representation. So you fall right smack in the middle there, comrades, without pay. I want to say that, and I always tell people, to be a union officer, you have to be a special kind of human being, to take on a task where there is no compensation really, and you putting yourself on the line to represent people, comrades. You are a special human being. And I wanted to give yourself a round of applause for taking on that mantle. Now, comrades, we want to be practical because we know that we don't have the whole day. But at least when you leave here, you would better appreciate who you are in terms of what you represent in the workplace. There are times when there was no union. Some of you know that at a time it didn't have no union. Workers had no representation whatsoever in the workplace. Now you have representation, and it's so challenging. You could imagine when workers had no rights. Just throw your mind. You had to work 16 hours a day without any kind of additional compensation. That existed. That is why we're here today, because those folks then decided, nah, after working without representation for 100, 200 years, nah. I don't think it's right. We can't continue to take this pressure. So you know what happened? Those workers who had no rights decided, yeah, what's going on? We need to organize. That is why they refer to us as organized labor. We need to organize in 18 something, 17 something, wherever, right? And organize so that we can make representation on our own behalf. And that organization, comrades, didn't come about where one worker or two workers. It came about when the masses, almost all the workers would have decided that, yes, we will show them our strength. We will show them that we ain't taking this no more. And that was the beginning of workers starting to organize themselves so that they can make representation to management. And one of the tangible and real benefit is what happened here this morning. You as workers who are supposed to be working today in the union with pay, you feel that was possible and that the employer just hand workers that? That is one of the issues that came out of the struggle of workers, that we have this opportunity here where we could be dealing with union business, dealing with business of representation, and we still receiving, we pay. Just recently, as the boss saw a woman pregnant, she had to go home, you know. She can't be productive to him. She making a baby. So he would have singled out and say, well, here what happened, girl. You'll go home, and when they make the baby, if we have room to take you back, we will take you back. As the president, the former president of the industrial court. Yeah, excuse 1 minute. What happened at night? I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible. All right? So, comrades, what the president came and said to me, I also have a meeting of the management committee of the medical plan, and there is an important issue that will be coming before the plan. And it is requested that I be there when that issue come up. All right? So, I may have to curtail. Yeah, I will curtail my presentation and attend that important matter. Well, as you would have recognized, the President General would have walked in, Comrade Lambert, and he has joined us in this particular seminar. All right? Yeah. So, comrades, a president of the industrial court said quite correctly, pregnancy is not a sickness. Pregnancy is not an illness, as some employers would have saw it. A woman pregnant, well, you know, and therefore the court is very, very critical when employers deal with pregnant maternal mothers in a particular way. The court is very severe. Comrades, I always say, if you don't know who you are and you don't know the rights that you have, if you don't know it, then you don't have it. If you don't know it, you don't have it. And shop stewards need to understand who they are in the workplace. And one of the things that I want to remind you of, that your job is not only to peep and see where grievance going and come up so you could jump in. One of your duty is to maintain industrial peace in the workplace. So sometimes you have to pull a worker square and say, here we're going on, street boy. We like how you're behaving, you know, management watching you and management. Sometimes you as the shop steward have to do that before it goes and becomes a grievance where you have to go through a set of procedures and so on and so on. So that's one of your role also. But who is the shop steward on the job? Why we have this particular officer on the job? As I said, all right, okay. One of your main functions is to preserve industrial peace, right? And the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, comrades, apart from the ILO, and some of you may not, you have heard of the ILO, but you don't really know what that means. What is the ILO? The ILO is the International Labour Organization. It is an arm of the United Nations. And the ILO consists of business, union, and labor worldwide. And the ILO will meet from time to time and develop certain standards, labor standards, right? Employer, labor, and business. And yet the organization is called the International Labour Organization for a reason, because they know workers are the most vulnerable. Workers can be easily taken advantage of. So when the ILO meet, they set minimum standard. one of the things that the ILO would have said about shop stewards, right? You have your manual. I'm certain that you can go through the manual at the appropriate time and see what the ILO says about shop steward. But coming closer to home, the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, the only office that is mentioned in the Industrial Relations Act, which is the law of Trinidad and Tobago, the only office that is mentioned in that act is not the President General or the Deputy President General and so on, in the law, the law only mentions the shop steward, the shop steward. And the shop steward has certain protection in law from the employer. I say if you have a right and you don't know it, then you don't have it. So we need to familiarize ourselves with what protection we have in law as a shop steward. So when the union say we have a shop steward, an election, and you put up yourself and the members say, yes, we want Street or we want Harry to be the shop steward. No. Coming with that is tremendous authority and protection under the law. The employer can't terminate you or dismiss you for making representation on behalf of a worker, right? They can't terminate you. In fact, the shop steward is the only officer, not the branch chairman, not the secretary, could go and tell the boss, here what's going on, boss. One of the workers here have an issue, and I feel it is important for me to go to head office to make representation for that worker. The boss can't refuse you. The most he could do when you go, so you could say, all right, you tell me I can't go, but I go in. He cannot discipline you for that as a shop steward. However, you could say, well, all right, you go without my blessing, I ain't paying you. You could say that. And of course, you as the union representative, the union will come and make representation on your behalf. And if it is resolved, then the union is obligated to make sure that you are compensated, as long as it can be determined that the issue that you would have been treating with is one that was necessary at that point in time. Right? So you as a shop steward have that kind of responsibility, have that kind of coverage as an individual. So the point I'm trying to make to you, comrades, that you have a real heavy burden and a heavy responsibility, not only to the workers who selected you to be their shop steward, but also to maintain industrial peace where you're working, right? To make sure that the workers' interest is taken care of, to make sure that the employer's interest is taken up, because you want the place to be in harmony. You want the place to be in harmony. That is you, and that is your role and responsibility. And the union have a duty to ensure that you know who you are, and what your duties and your limitations are. If you get in an issue, a matter that requires a lawyer, you don't have to pay. As long as it was in the conduct of your duties as shop steward, you don't have to pay, you don't have to worry. The law says the union representative on the job is the shop steward. I didn't say that. The law says the union representative on the job is the shop steward. And the shop steward is covered, because, or what we say, indemnified. So if you get involved in something in representation, as long as you bring a cutlass to chop up the boss and all them kind of things. But as long as it's a verbal conversation in terms of representation, and the boss, it has some boss, they feel you as a worker, and you shouldn't be telling them certain things, That's how some officers does behave, But the law also says that when you as the shop steward meeting with the employer, you all are equals. You are equals, even though the person you're meeting with is your immediate supervisor. Even as your immediate supervisor, you are equals. So don't go around the table and say, yes, Mr. Street. No, Mr. Street. No, you representing the union. And as such, you have to operate with the authority that you have from the union. I told someone the other day that, you see what we're doing here? You know what we actually doing? We're preparing you to be warriors. We want you to be warriors in the workplace. Warriors, because the employer not easy, comrades. They want to soak out of you and the workers more than they are required to. You must become a warrior. Some people, I never forget my own experience. I was at a laugh. I work at HDC. I was the president, secretary, all kind of thing in HDC for years. I served 7 terms as president. In fact, the union back then would have given me a plaque. Nah, wasn't a plaque, a gift for the longest serving president in the union. And I remember the PIRO, and this is not to big up myself, but it's to let you understand that you could be a warrior, and which means you're giving people worries, but you of yourself could be cool. You understand? So in the cafeteria passing, the PRO and the people there, here we asking them, all in no street? They say, I mean, we know street. Hear him telling them, he cool, eh? They say, I mean, street real cool. He watch them, he smile. He say, you ever see him in a union meeting? And that statement that he made was a vindication, right? You're cool with demeanor. But when you're representing workers, you are to become a warrior in terms of protecting the rights and interests of those workers. But in order to do that, you have to be equipped with the information and knowledge and as you go along and you read the manual, you will see, right, that there are certain rules you have to familiarize yourself with, right? You can't be a shop steward and don't know nothing and just talking, and you have to arm yourself. And I think the manual did a fantastic job in providing you some of the traits, some of the criteria that you as a shop steward must have. You are the first line of defense. The first line of defense, because you are on the actual workspace of the worker and the incident. You in the workspace, not Lambert, not street up here. That could come, but that will come later down the road. Depending on how the issue goes, it could be make and break by what you do as the shop steward. Make and or break. Sometimes, as officers, we know workers wrong. We have to go and beg for them, as we just say. Yes, that has happened too. That has happened too. That is your role too. So you have to be a professional beggar too, as a shop steward. Yes, you have to know how to, based on the relationship you have with the boss, that you could use that and translate that to the benefit of the worker. You understand? I have seen instances where the boss started off saying he could never work here again. Never work here again. And you go and make the representation. And you start to hear the boss saying, if he had to come back, well, from the time you hear that, you know you win. Because he started off by saying, street could never work here again. And along the conversation, we say, if street had to come back, but they smile because you know somehow you're making a breakthrough, you know? So comrades, you as a shop steward is not to be in war, at war with the employer. Yeah. You don't pull it yet. No, you don't pull it out. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. So you, as the shop steward, must try to, as far as humanly possible, as far as humanly possible, try to have a good relationship with the immediate supervisors and so on. I didn't tell you to compromise the workers' interests. I never tell you that. But I tell you, in terms of relationship, you should have a reasonably good relationship with. I really want you to take this opportunity that you have here. Ask questions. You know, you have the president here, you have the deputy, you have the first deputy. Ask questions. Don't afraid it and know nothing as a bad or dotish question. No. Because sometimes somebody else don't know it too, you know. But they're fearful to put up their hand. And when you put up your hand and the answer is given, they too receive the answer. Comrades, as I had indicated before, we have a lot of things to discuss, but you know, when you have to play a dual role, I really, really would want you at the end of this day to say, yes, my trip to the union was not in vain. There are things that I didn't know when I came this morning that I know now. And it shouldn't end when you leave this room. Shouldn't end when this particular session is finished, because I know you will be told how to continue your information gathering as far as possible to ensure that you becomes a better shop steward, a better section officer, a better national officer. Because I remember the time when I used to be sitting right where you're sitting, taking on the president general then or the general secretary then, lecturing and giving me information. And one day, you are expected to be up on this side, sharing on and sharing information to future workers, because this thing has to continue. And nobody, before I leave, nobody could represent workers like workers. Nobody. And in fact, a union is workers represented workers. That's why union is, you know, workers representing workers. Nobody is going to do it for us. Right? So comrades, enjoy the rest of the day. As I said, I had another engagement and I will come back. But in the meantime, I really thank you for your attention, and I hope what I would have said to you would have impacted you in some way. So thanks very much, comrades.
Good morning, everyone. We're still sleeping after Comrade Street finished. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am General, and I will be taking up where Comrade Street has left off. I know you were provided with some packages. Everybody have one of the packages in front of them? Huh? Right, great. So let me point out some things that I'm going to refine it a little more. Don't fall asleep on me. I'm going to refine it a little more on the issue of how you are treated as a shop steward in accordance with the law. Comrade Street would have told you that the law recognizes shop steward. In the Industrial Relations Act, you all had a copy of the Industrial Relations Act with you? No? Okay. So I will treat it like how them professors and them the street students in UE and whatnot. They will go and do some research after. Because to copy the whole act, I think might be a challenge, but you could go on the internet and Google it, and you will get it. Now, in the Industrial Relations Act, the act speaks about the office. And the people who they speak about in the office is not only about the employer, but also the trade union. And listen to what the Industrial Relations Act tells you. It says, go bear with me, or you bear with me, office in relation to a trade union or other organization means the office of a member of the committee of management of the trade union or organization. The office of President General, the office of President, Vice President, Secretary, Assistant Secretary, shop steward, or other executive officer by whatever name they are called, or of the trade union or other organization. One of the reasons why they put this here is because there's another part of the act that speaks about when you violate your office, how you could be charged just the same way the employer could be charged. Because some of us go away with the misinterpretation that the employer alone could be subject to the ambits of the law and could be punished. Put that thought out of your mind. Okay. You all hear me with that, right? Good. So, and when the law continues, the office of a person holding, or whether as a trustee or otherwise, property of the union or other organization or property in which the trade union or other organization has any beneficial interest, and every office within the trade union or other organization for the filling of which an election is conducted within the trade union or other organization. And it goes on to tell you that person includes a company and a union. So all of us who are elected officers, we are subject to this law. Now, I would go on to explain other matters with you in terms of your protection. But one of the things that we know we can depend on in Trinidad and Tobago is that in this same act, there's a section called victimization for trade union activity. And that is in section 42 of the Act for persons who are taking notes. And in the Act, it says, an employer shall not dismiss a worker or adversely affect his employment or alter his position to his prejudice by reason only of the circumstances that the worker is an officer, delegate, or member of a trade union and is entitled to the benefit of an order under this act as appeared as a witness. Now, when they say entitled to the benefit of an order under this act, it means you went to court and the court decide that you are right and the employer ain't like it, so they decide to act otherwise and interfere with the employment and do other things. Victimization. So, has appeared as a witness or has given any evidence in a proceeding under this act. Meaning, because some shop stewards, when the time comes to reach in the court, you pull back, but you don't want that court thing. So the prejudice against the worker that you're representing. And it puts the worker under jeopardy and it's compromising your integrity as a union representative. So if you have to give witness on behalf of the worker, don't care. The employer, in common parlance, can't do nothing. I want to go on to point out to you. Has absented himself from work without leave after he has made application for leave. So all of that they are conspirators for. But please note, after you have made application for leave, for the purpose of carrying out his duties as an officer or delegate of a trade union, and the leave has been unreasonably refused or withheld. It means you went and you tell your boss, I have a union meeting X place. And the boss say, you can't go to that meeting. It means that he is being prejudiced against you and he is victimizing you for your trade union activities. He's not supposed to unreasonably refuse it. No. If he's a union officer and he's a doctor or the main engineer, because remember, those people are workers too. And the only person who could manage the plant is you. That might be a bit difficult. Okay? So some of us, we will have those kind of challenges. An officer, an employer, shall not make the employment of a worker subject to the condition that he shall not join a trade union and shall relinquish trade union membership, dismiss or otherwise prejudice a worker by reason of the union's membership. And it goes on and on. It jumps, I am jumping, because I wanted to go in the act and look for it. And it says an employer who contravenes this under subsection 1 and 2 is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 1 year. Now, somehow let's go away with the impression that it's only the director of the company or the owner of the company who's subjected to that. For the persons who are here, who are foremen and supervisors, you, when you there, are the employer's representative. And if you take that kind of action, yes, you can be subject to that fine. You have to study if when you commit victimization against a worker on the shop floor, whether or not the employer like you enough to pay that fine for you. Some of you just forget that you are workers too. Don't forget that. So, it goes on to tell you that in any proceedings of an offense under subsection 3, if all the facts and circumstances constituting the offense, other than any specific intent, are proved, the defendant may be convicted unless he proves that he did not have the specific intent in question. So you could find yourself even facing a jail term. I'm only saying that because there would be other reasons I will go into later on. In particularly, I'm directing it. And when you facing your people in a grievance procedure, you must point out to them what that section of the act says. Let them know if they go down that road, they too can be convicted. Now, challenge with being victimized. It is not something, because it is a summary offense, it is not subject really to the grievance procedure while we do take it up. But we cannot convict and we cannot make the report. In a summary offense, it means that you have to go by the police station, file a report to say under this section, to say that you were victimized. And the police and the DPP will take it from there, not the trade union. Because I don't want people to be going away with the intention, well, the union here are getting victimized and the union ain't do nothing. Telling you from now, it is a summary offense. We can guide you to that place, but we are not the ones to say charge or not charge. You all hearing me with that? Right. So, in terms of how you become to be recognized as a shop steward, Comrade Street made reference to the ILO. Now, a lot of our industrial relations laws, you wouldn't have this in your package, are governed by ILO conventions and regulations. I'm sending you again to do research on ILO regulation number 143. Not regulation, recommendation they call it. And that recommendation was implemented in 1971, and it speaks, and it's called the Workers' Representatives Recommendation. You hear that, right? The Workers' Representatives Recommendation. ILO Recommendation 143. 143. And it tells you under general provisions, and you could Google it. You'd rather go and buy no book. If you want to do like me, sometimes the phone too small and the writing too small on the phone, there's something unprinted. Or somewhere where you could print it and you could read it like this. And it tells you, for the purposes of this recommendation, the term worker representative means persons who are recognized as such under national law or practice, whether they are trade union representatives, namely representatives designated or elected by trade unions, or by the members of such trade unions, or elected representatives, namely representatives who are freely elected by the workers under the undertaking. And that is something, and that is why they call it the worker representative, and they did not say shop steward. But what you are is the shop steward. That is what we say we are. And why they call it that is because there are some organizations where they don't have trade union recognition. And so they don't have a recognized majority trade union representation. But some people have their internal arrangement where they have their own, they call them staff associations, in some of them. And in those staff associations, the workers elect their representatives. Can't call them shop steward because they don't have a recognized majority trade union. But the staff associations, the employer does recognize staff. And sometimes it may not have a staff association, but issues come up. And usually the employer would say, well, out of the 1,000 all you, 3 all you come now. And only elect 3 people to go and talk to the employer on your behalf. Those are worker representatives. You all understand that? Huh? Or should I repeat? Nice, good. Well, all you have to tell me yes or no, otherwise I will say it again to make sure you understand it. Or, to make sure it's a signal. All right. In here, it tells you, this is where those laws that I just represent you, that I just read for you in industrial relations that comes in. It tells you, workers' representatives in the undertaking should enjoy effective protection against any act prejudicial to them, including dismissal based on the status or activities as a worker's representative, or on union membership, or participation in union activities insofar as the act in conformity with existing laws or collective agreements, other jointly agreed agreements. So, we being a signatory to the international labor laws, that is why it is in the Industrial Relations Act. You all get the link now? The government did not sit down one day and say, they have to recognize workers. Same way they want to force you to take 4%. They didn't sit down and say, well, we like all you, so we'll give all you this. None. No political party ever did that. It was because of the representation of trade unions, Trinidad and Tobago, other Caribbean islands, and internationally, at an international level, that went and said, we want this right. And they signed on to this. So, further to that, where there are not sufficient relevant protection measures applicable to workers, in general, specific measures should be taken to ensure effective protection of workers' rights. Worker representative, which is you. These might include such measures as follows: detailed and precise definitions of the reasons justifying termination, employment of worker representatives, a required consultation, and it goes on and on and on about how you are protected, your rights as a shop steward, the union's rights, the workers' right to have a shop steward, and the union's rights to have that shop steward present on the shop floor. It goes on to describe all those things. It breaks it down for you. Because if I were to read the whole thing, then it wouldn't be a one-day seminar. And I think we have some people here now, even if you can't read, show some friend or some child that you have could read it for you to understand it. So don't feel bad about it. And don't get intimidated about it, because it's about your rights. At the time when shop stewards and unions came into being, 75% of the workers didn't know how to read and write. But what they had in them was the passion to represent people and their fellow workers. And that passion didn't tell them, well, you is my godson, or you is my child, or you is my best friend, so I'm representing you. Or you see you don't like my head, you don't talk to me, you just pass me straight, you never in no union meeting, and I don't like your head neither, so me representing you. When you took the oath to become a shop steward, you took the oath to defend a worker. Even if they cuss you this morning when they come to work about your mother, if they have an issue today, put that grievance inside your heart, down in your belly, and go and do what you must do as a shop steward. You all hear me on that? Right, good. Because every time you compromise on that piece of integrity, it means you diminish your strength as a worker. And here's some facts which some of you don't know. You see the worker who cusses your mother in the morning, and every day they're telling you something about you, how you can represent and you're this and you're that and the other. You know, if you say shut down, or we go in and protest, that might be the first person standing up behind you when everybody else walk out on you. So be careful when you say you ain't representing that person. On your belly and take it. That is why you decide to become a shop steward. Okay? Say yes now. Right. I don't want to say hallelujah. I ain't no preacher. Right. So, this recommendation also says, even if you're running for office, you must be afforded those same protections. Even if you come out of office, you must be afforded those same protections. Now, there's a recommendation. Take this one down because it falls in line with what you're doing today. Called Recommendation 130. Recommendation 130. And that recommendation was put in place in 1967. And that recommendation is called Examination of Grievances Recommendation. I'm going through all of this because I want you all to have a perspective on how you became a shop steward and why you gain all these rights. I would go into the other parts of the grievance thing when we're doing the grievance procedure and whatnot. Well, forgive me, I'm just trying to get the exact part of it that speaks to your protection. Okay. So in this recommendation, in 5 and 6, appointing you to different places, but at the same time, I wanted to read the whole recommendation. And don't be intimidated by it because it may have plenty of words. Nobody gets it one time. I don't expect all of us to be geniuses, but I know that some people, even the persons who are slower, will get it eventually. So you could read it over and over again. So in 5 and 6, it tells you, when procedures for examination of grievances are established through collective agreements, the parties to such an agreement should be encouraged to include therein a provision to the effect that during the period of its invalidity, they undertake to promote settlement of grievances under the procedures provided to abstain from any action which might impede the effective functioning of these procedures. Now, one of the ways they could do that is to try and victimize you. Here's the nice catch to it now. What gives you a certain amount of status? It tells you in 6, workers' organizations or the representatives of the workers in the undertaking should be associated with equal rights and responsibility with the employers or the organizations, preferably by way of agreement. What that really means is that when you go as a shop steward to sit down and treat with a grievance, if it's you and the manager, 2 of we as managers together. And if it's you and the director and the owner of the company, 2 of we as director and owners together. So the issue about while a grievance taking place, a manager or supervisor telling you, shut up, who you think you're talking to? You have the right to tell him you're damn fast and out of place. And who you think you're talking to. And if he used obscene language on you, we dive into the realm of industrial language, and you could very well reverse it. Like back same way. Two of we have equal status. And you know what the nice thing about it? The minute he makes the mistake, but I shouldn't say he or she, them, they make the mistake and get up and walk out, then it means what? Refusal to meet and treat. The Industrial Relations Act speaks about that too. And of course, there are other things. There are other things that in the process of your duties as a shop steward that you will have to follow in treating with matters that would help to temper that type of behavior. Because they might be able to get away with it down here, because as a shop steward, you know, you have levels. We have the branch officers, section officers, divisional officers. You have the full-time officers in the union, and you have people like the President General and the members of the National Executive. So they may be able to temper that. Because, remember this, one of the things that the Industrial Relations Act was designed for was a formula to minimize industrial destruction of the country. Because when they did it, and trust me, there were trade unionists involved in doing that industrial relations, irrespective of what some people may say. One of them was a former President General of the union, who had a hand in both the Industrial Relations Act and the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. And just for a thing, I wonder how informed we are. Do you all know what was the most important right that was enshrined in the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago that would have really had an impact on you? Could anybody say?
Up top.
Not that. Not just the right to protest, the right to belong to any organization, whether it be political, trade union, or otherwise. That is a human right. And that right was enshrined, was put in there because of the representation of trade unions. That is the right that causes you to be a member of this organization without being victimized and to be a union representative. Okay? So, as shop stewards, we also have your shop stewards manual, because there would be two separate things. There are some terms, I think it should be in there, that would help you to temper most times what you're doing. There's something called the 3 C's. Sorry, we don't have it there. And the 3 C's are, could write, and they are hard words, you know. Some of you would have heard it. Cool, calm, and collective. And let me tell you why it is important that you be cool, calm, and collective. Please say it with me. Cool, calm, and collective. Yes. That is important because we don't want to find ourselves rushing into a matter with a hasty disposition and we don't have all the facts. We don't want to find ourselves meeting up a manager or supervisor who head we don't like at all. And when we rush into the grievance, we start to bash them and abuse them without even dealing with the matter. And we don't want to find ourselves handling a grievance where it was real argument. Yeah, man, morning. We lash out and we abuse the boss. And what happens after? When you walk out of the meeting, your ego gets satisfied because the worker telling you, yes, you're doing good, but the matter's still not resolved. If we are to be shop stewards and to be effective representatives, then we must follow cool, say with me, cool, calm, and collective. That is the disposition we must have. Because sometimes, as good a representatives that we may be, even we as full-time officers, stay on the shop floor, might have a man there, he don't say nothing. And when you see him, that's how Comrade Street was telling you this morning, cool, calm, collective. Say, but what representative you will make? But you see, when he reached on the table with the employer, because he was cool, calm, and who? right? He was able to make effective representation. Those things like using your emotional intelligence are issues that you will learn in future training, whether by your design or the union design. Because emotional intelligence would be something that a lot of people are very accurate with. Some people do it and without even knowing that they're doing it. Because that will determine how you speak, respond to, and deal with grievances with the employer or the representative. You all hear me with that? Okay. So, just to recap. All right, because I only hear two people answer me. So the ILO recommendation for local representation is what? Right. And the ILO recommendation that tells you about your right to sit equally on the table with the employer. So, all right. 130 subsection 5 and 6. But the recommendation I was asking for, be careful when you're answering, because sometimes, let me tell you something, when they ask you a direct question in an exam, you have to give them the same direct answer. Don't give them the extension. If you sit down in the court, and it's important, because if you're going to give testimony in the court, some of us, and you have to guard against it in representing workers, some of us go into more explanation than we shouldn't. And you talk yourself into winning the case, and because you want to talk and share so much, you talk yourself out of winning the case. So a direct question was, what is the recommendation? The recommendation is 143 or 130. Okay, comrades? All right. So I know that your schedule says 10:25, 10:15. Huh? Oh, okay. So I would stop there for the time being with you as a shop steward and what your duties and functions are for the time being. Are there any questions or clarifications that people will need? Any clarity? When you ask no question, I was feeling like me. Huh? Oh boy. Long time we used to publish books, eh? For them days we had our own printry and thing. It was easier. Now we get a bit too expensive. And you know, we doesn't want to pay more union dues so that we could do these things. Comrade was showing me one of the old booklets that they used to do for shop stewards long time. But this was way back in the 70s and 80s. Right? Okay. Yeah, I'm asking, but nobody answering. Hmm? All right. I want a union book. The union. Use here. Oh, I think I may have it in my bag. Excuse me. Now, in your rule book, which most of you should have, it costs less than $20 to go by the cashier's cage and get one. All of you as shop stewards should have one. Union rule book. Hmm? So I want to make sure that you all hear me. So I'm coming closer here. In your rule book, it speaks about shop stewards, union representative. Here's how the rule book describes you. Shop stewards shall be the official union representative in the department in which they work. They shall be elected biannually by the members of the union in the respective departments and endorsed by the chairman of the branch section, who shall inform the general secretary accordingly. And they shall serve for a term of 2 years and shall be eligible for re-election. There's a Unimed meeting going on there. So I know all you might get distracted. I didn't anticipate that. So but the daily rated workers would understand. I hope all will have an appreciation. So sections and department representatives so elected and endorsed shall be designated as official union shop steward. So what that tells you, just because you're in a section or you're in a division and the colonial branch president and secretary, that you don't have to deal with no grievance, because that is not my responsibility. That is the grievance officer own, or the education secretary or the health and safety secretary telling you, that is not my responsibility. That is the grievance officer and the president of the section own. I'm repeating it. Get your rule book. Section and divisional department representatives so elected and endorsed shall be designated official union shop steward. You all hear me with that, right? Good. Official union shop stewards shall in the first instance work with the branch committee section and division and grievance officer, and shall keep in close and regular contact with the branch to which they are connected. They shall keep members in their section or department informed on the latest union developments and policies. They shall assist as far as possible in seeing that members and employees cooperate and observe the terms of any and every existing agreement between the union and the employer. That means your responsibility is not just to sit back and wait for a worker to come and tell you, boss, they give me short pay. They cut me time, or they suspend me, or the boss buff me for coming late. Your responsibility as a shop steward and union representative is also to see that employee coming late regularly, pull them aside, mano a mano, hey, what are you doing and shit? And not because it's your friend or because it's their enemy. Well, them, you can't get along with them, well, that one might have some friction. If you feel you really can't do it, call somebody who you know close to them and say, you know, he and me don't get along, but I'm concerned that he could make a mess of his job, go and talk to him. It also means that when your partner or your fellow worker who you feel doing the employer some things by thieving the employer products, and you ain't saying nothing, you're condemning them. And I want to draw an example for you in one of the departments, because it is real and it is happening right now. Going based on how it was told to me, two workers drove out, no, not two, one worker drove out of a compound in one of the departments the other day. And in his trunk was a transmission. Now, as it turns out, the security questioned the fact, hey, what are you doing there? That belongs to you? Security reported. The department heads decide they're going and do an investigation. And what they discovered is that two men put the transmission in the trunk. Now, one of them is a charger. The one who drives in the car. But they didn't go after him. They go after the man who assists them, because apparently the story gets back that the transmission, the person claiming the transmission is the man who assists. When the story breaks, the man who was assisting, he gets charged. Investigation go on, he gets inquiry going on, he gets charged. His position is, well, my boss called me to help him. All of we working in the workshop together. So I help him put the thing in the car. He didn't study to ask, hey, I know the people saying you're going and take them. Oh, you hear me, right? So eventually the union made representations, and I think they gave him a suspension. But the next man, the one who had it in the car and was driving out, because not two of them drive out, he got shot. And they decide they want to terminate his service. Because it turns out that when the security check, transmitter was missing, and it turns out that that transmitter was a new one, transmission, and he drives out the compound. Police gets involved. But in the process of losing his job now, he went into the meeting, the inquiry, and he didn't offer any testimony to say The fellow who just gets off, when he say, well, look, I just helped him, he offered nothing to dispel that. But now he realized that what involved comes here, story develops different. He is now saying the man who helped him is really eating. He take and put in the trunk and was driving out when the security stopped him. And he put that. Now, the challenge that we have now, he went and put that on a sheet of paper, signing a report and sending it to the employer. Here, what he didn't take into consideration, that man done get away already. So even if you try to implicate him, you're still implicating yourself. Because if you in charge of the workshop, and a man come and tell you to take the government property and put it in your car and drive it out, you wasn't a co-conspirator? Weren't you part of the crime? And now he's facing jail term because police charged. Now that he gets charged, he changed his story and tried to implicate the next one. So as it turns out, who are they? They end up losing their jobs. How does the union deal with that? Anybody could offer an explanation? Two of them are members of the union. Yes, but you know they're going to come among all and say, the union don't do nothing for me. Same thing Macomber Street was telling you. There will be no gratitude. Very few workers come back and say, hey, thanks, the matter was settled. Or go among the workers and say, you see that shop still there? He real good. Very few workers do it. And you will be there feeling despondent because you feel you ain't got that pips, that's not, that you were supposed to. Do not feel that way. The day you decided to take the job, you didn't take it for pips. You take it because in your gut, in your heart, in your mind, your soul and your conscience, you knew that when you take this job, it is to represent people. Because the day all that you're doing could fall back on you and one of your family in the same place one day. So it's better you deal with it now. You did that. You took that decision to be a union representative. Do not be despondent about it. I ain't no preacher. I ain't no saint. Anytime you start to feel that way, go in your corner, get on your knees, and pray to Almighty God to save your own soul. You all hear me on that? Because this war is not just a war. Because the way it challenges you, your very conscience and your soul could be affected. And you don't have to be no preacher. You don't have to be no born-again Christian. You don't have to be no Brahmin. And you don't have to be no imam. Because the Almighty God don't represent them. He don't not represent them, but he don't recognize them as, you know, he has recognized them as representatives of the people. And you know what he does say to the people? You are my people. Okay? So, you're telling me it's time for the break? I will take a couple of questions now, and we will close off your duties as a shop steward. You have the manual in front of you. You have to read it. What you don't, and if you fall asleep reading it, get up the next day and read it over again. Someday we'll finish it. I remember when I was going to secondary school, they had 2 books. Most of us who went secondary school know them. One was The Pearl, and in fact 3. The other one was To Kill a Mockingbird, and another one was A Year in San Fernando. Yes. When I was in secondary school, they couldn't even get me to finish the first chapter or to read the whole book. I only just used to go for where the question was and answer accordingly. But you see, when I became an adult, 20-something years later, man, those are 3 of the best books I've ever read. And I only reference them because I think most people would know those books that I'm speaking about. Some find this boring looking. You don't want to go through that. But as we change and we practice and we mature, your perspective will change. And some people, some industrial relations practitioners tell you, see that industrial relations act? If you read it 10 times, you would still find something new you didn't miss before. Cover to cover. And you go back and say, but hey, I missed this one. So don't stop trying to learn. Okay, comrade? Question. Comrade here wanted to ask a question earlier.
Morning, everybody. My name is Ivan Dixon, representing the Farbo Corporation. So you said something about the guys and them that to be transmission and you really let that. But there's also members of the union. And they want the union representative now to represent them now on the matter of keeping the government property. Now in a position like that, that's a very difficult position for you all. As executive officer. It went for me, it's to my knowledge. I know that is a ticklish situation that dealing with. So I think because that is a bring of termination of rules because of theft. Right? So there's well, in my perspective, I don't know, you can explain to me afterwards. But from my perspective, that is that I don't know. That I feel that can't be challenged. No.
Well, what you all think about what the comrades say? Well, when he spoke about representative, I don't think I did distinctly mention it. The one who said he assists in putting it in the trunk, he came for union representative. The one who was the driver, he never come for union representative until after the fact, when he realized he sit in the inquiry, he gave testimony, all kind of things. He never came until after, because that's something we the members that do to him. We are bound for them. I can handle my stories to myself until they realize that them as the employer are no friends. Until they realize that the supervisor who they was getting along with all the time suddenly realized that the supervisor had to protect his work. So in protecting his work, he's not going to come and testify on your behalf. And then they say, you know, it have a union. And then you come to the union. After you done write a report that convict you, and after the employer starts to exhibit, you realize punishment coming, then you recognize that have a union. Don't turn them away, because we're here to represent. But something else that, and it depends on the person, we just have to do as union representative. I saw you represent. And when you're begging, beg and let them know you beg. Because they must understand you couldn't beg for yourself if I went and begged for you. And the employer may may have a change of heart and release them from any conviction. That is what you have to do as a union officer. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I think on your agenda it says that we have a break now.
This morning, I heard the first Deputy President General, followed by the second Deputy President General. And one of the things that amazed me most of all, after they have so eloquently dispersed and informed the things that they were saying pertaining to Shropshire, at the end of it, very little recognition was given. And that is not how it ought to be. Because if you were in a political party and your candidate or your leader will speak, when you hear the whole place with applause for what they said. But here you would have had who you have elected to represent you, very little recognition. He had almost to beg, did you hear me? It's okay. Everybody seems to just be looking and they're not ready to say, or even the question that we were given the opportunity to, very little was said. Brothers and sisters, notwithstanding, I want to applaud them for the contribution made or given. And I also want to take the opportunity. Is Robson here? Robson is not here. Huh? I want to commend her. When I saw only this morning that she had a booklet that his name was shared, grievance handling booklet. I did not instruct her to do same, but she sit there and she knew that there will be a seminar at some time to deal with certain aspects. And in light of that, she thought it prudent that she should write, not to put it to close, that she should write a hand booklet to give to the members that are present today. Let us put our hands together and congratulate her for that. I hope that when I finish, those who befriend her will say that the President General congratulated her. Because the reasons for all of this, we had a faithful meeting about 2 weeks ago. And to my astonishment, I did and in fact said openly and publicly, which I have no reservation for saying, that I had the opportunity of having 3 general secretaries, all were women. And to my astonishment, one of them said that about 5 people from the meeting phoned her and said to her, Lambert was bad talking her pertaining to her performance, which was never said. And that's how we are. I said out of the 3 of them, the best that I ever had is the present one, and I will say it over and over and over again. And I have my reasons for saying that. That does not mean that the 2 before her were not good, but I'm saying the best out of the 3, and I will continue to say it. I also want to take the opportunity, as I saw other booklet, and I'm saying fairly, Carl St. Rose, his advisor, deals with the court matters emanating from Carrick, and he have the Shropshire manual, prepared and edited by Carl St. Rose, Senior Industrial Relations Officer. I also want to commend him. I did not instruct him to say prepare that we could use for that purpose. And it tells you people that is interested and people that is dedicated and who is interested to see the development or the continuity of the development of NUGFW. It is of paramount importance that when we have within our head, we must disseminate the information that all of us could live. It is widely known that education is not what you know. Education is what you will learn or what you have learned, what you will learn in the future. That is what education. What you know about already. But everywhere we go, we learn from each other. Everybody have different ways of putting over what there is. So I want to congratulate those two labor relations officers for the manual that they did, so it could have been presented to you this morning. I want to take the opportunity also to thank all of you that are present. Brother Rachel come all the way from Rio Claro. He made it possible to be here. Who comes from Point Forte? From everywhere. I had us to go outside and tell labor relation officers why you are not here. You need it also. If you are in the police service, there is something that they say you go back to the barracks and do retraining. So don't believe that you know it all. All of us want to know more and more. What we could learn today is not what was said yesterday. Brothers and sisters, NUGFW, as all trade unions within the Caribbean, is going through challenges. There are certain things that we did and in fact promise that we intend to uphold. But because of the challenges that we face, we are unable to meet it at this time. Because one of the serious things that had promised at the very said Congress, along with the very said meetings or seminar that you are in today, shop steward, remuneration of shop steward. This is of paramount importance to me and the administration and management of the union. But because of the financial situation by depletion of membership, we were unable to meet as we had promised at that time. But it is still our intention that we did and in fact intimated at that Congress that a team will be selected for the purpose of seeing how best that we could compensate shop stewards for the duties of performance of there. Once we are aware that some of them do not perform as they ought to, and most of the thing lies at times with the president, the grievance secretary, and a few officers. But it shows, as they highlighted this morning, the importance of shop stewards. And in the past, when we were here, when I came in, here used to be flooded with shop stewards, bringing in members, saying this is what I've just recruited. We used to go to the pay yard and run down people to become members of NUGFW. That is what we used to do. But now, education and time has evolved. Nobody is doing that. You might go to ask a man to join and he shoot you. You know? Though it becomes dangerous. As I said yesterday at Tonapuna, I was up in Tonapuna yesterday. PIROs used to go in community and register people. When there were development jobs in the various areas, 2/3 used to come from the community and 1/3 from the management of whichever ministry or corporation that you belong to. No, you can't say no PROs to go in communities to register nobody. I developed in this union accompanying PIROs to go to communities. That helped me to become popular. Because when I go out there, you would see my presence, you would see, and somebody would say, this ugly man was there, you know. You know? Because that is what's about. We are dependent on you for the continuity, sustainability of the union. If it is not for you, remember, there will be no union. There will be none. You elected me as your president general. Yes, it has a salary that goes with it. But if you do not pay, I cannot receive it. It's not something that we have the monies out there like masses and them that selling products and so forth. And in light of that, you will get income, you know, and in light of that, you will get interest. And in light of that, money is flowing. Everything that you do or does comes from the dues that we pay, because I pay also. The very said juice, tea, lunch, everything that is given, the chairs that you sit, the tables that have the towel, come from your dues. You know? But we never see what is being done, but we always see what we did not do. The very said government that is in office today, that they say that the SRC, Salaries Review Commission, offer them 33% is our money also. Our money to pay them, everything is in a circle. The trips of over 10 billion that they have said, or it has been alleged that the Prime Minister went on and spread it, our money we sent him. I think it was New York Street had explained this morning pertaining to the ILO, the various conventions. I signed, I used to go ILO. As this government came into office, they said there is no use for trade unions to go to ILO. Although the government of Trinidad and Tobago is part of it, but they felt that the trade union have no right to be there. If you want to go, pay your own money. But the policy that has been built, that government is supposed to send two persons. One is an advisor and one is a delegate. And even that, they're refusing to so do. But that's not what we're here for today. We are here to say to you how the shops should operate, what they should do, and when they should do, when they should not do. But notwithstanding what have been said pertaining to the Act, the Industrial Relations Act, it does not speak as it relates to this. Your collective agreement governs the terms and conditions of your employment. If I ask the question, how many steps do we have before we reach to the industrial court? We're dealing with grievances. How many steps? Somebody want to help me? Is somebody here wants to help me? I am certain some of you know, but some of you is afraid to ask. You cannot afraid to stand up and speak if you are considered to be a trade union representative. And all of us here today are trade union representatives. And we cannot afraid to stand and speak because this is what it entails. Wrongly or rightly, do not be afraid that when the question in your mind, somebody might laugh at me. No. Ask your damn question. Get the answers and then you will know. I could recall 40 years ago when I came in here into this union, I wasn't known. I used to walk with a little copybook. And I have my pencil in the back there that I preach on them. You're afraid to speak to them. President General and General Secretary. And I would have taken my notes. And then I will go to the mic, I'm trembling, but I ask the question. And after a period of time, the same Nathaniel Pritchlow called me an evening after the meeting. He said, young man, where you from? I said, Carnage. He said, would you like to go to Cipriani Libre College? I said, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Because those days, your sections or divisions have to make representation on your behalf to enable you to go. But he of himself, because he saw the potential, that time I never even have one iota that one day or one year that I would have become the President General of NUGFW? Because the President General of NUGFW, each and every one of you that sit here who is a financial member could also be the President General. Everyone cannot be leaders. Everyone are not mechanics. Everyone are not drivers. Because sometimes they're coming up the road and I say, boys, look at the CPEP workers. They went to school and their parents would have asked them in the earlier years, what you would like to be? A doctor, mommy? I would like to be a priest. I would like to be this. I would like to be that. But they did not work towards becoming that. So therefore, somebody have to clean the street. If not, epidemic will break out in the country, and all of us with who have the education academically inclined, we will get sick and we will pass. So there is room. I always said that you, once you want to be, you must work towards what you would like to become. You wanted to ask me something? Or you want to answer the question? The steps? Yeah. Thanks. Well, I know you always be an intelligent one. Being who you are a scaling. So you know how scale people are. We don't just sit down and accept. You know? So comrades, I want you to be comfortable today. And whilst the collective agreement, and you would have had the booklet that would have identified certain items, I want to pose the question. What is a grievance? What is a grievance? How do you know it is a grievance? Then, what do you do? So as the brother have said, while Kari would have had the 5, we know there are 5 steps that we do have. The final one is industrial court. But luckily for us, our predecessors were intelligent enough. You see, sometimes we're not aware of the importance of what we are and who we are. Listen, you see James Lambert, you could be what? You could be the president of the state. You could be Ram Logan, the biggest lawyer in Trinidad and Tobago. You could be the prime minister. You could be what? You not come in and sit with me and say anything you feel to say or what you say. I will stand up and say, no. I'm not happy. I have a concern. And I would say what my concerns are. So therefore, as they rightly told you this morning, you came from the shop, son. The shop son have a right, based on your collective agreement, to do what? What he or she does. The worker will come to them and say to them what the problem is. But always remember, the aggrieved worker does not always tell you the truth. They tell you what they want you to hear. So therefore, what you do, you must investigate to ensure that what you have been told, it redounds to a grievance that you should take up. So you know where you have to go from there. But that does not answer the question that I posed. Someone want to tell me what is a grievance? How do you know is a grievance? And what do you do? Go ahead, Harvey. Yeah, give it, yeah.
Kendall Hartley, Secretary, Carry Worker Section. A grievance is an infringement of the collective agreement, right? So once a worker comes to the trade union officer and you can prove that the company or the person that deal with that worker infringe on the worker's rights, you could pick up a grievance from there. But as the president say, you must do due diligence and investigate before you run all over the place like a headless chicken. And when they reach up the road, if they do the investigation, I get embarrassed.
One thing I'm happy for today, that this gentleman and I, we're under the same sign. What an intelligent answer. First and foremost, to know that there is, based on what you have been told, that is a grievance, it must align to your collective agreement that you have infringed, the employer has infringed on the rights based on the collective agreement, which is the terms and conditions of your employment. That is what it is. But some workers believe that anything that is being done is a grievance. And I would say to them, after I have listened, I will only make the representation if in the fact that I believe the first step did not give the satisfaction that is needed. And then I go to the second, then I go to the third, the fourth, and go to the final one. Do not take a grievance if you cannot go to the court with it. As simple as that. Because when you go to the court with the grievance that has been alleged, after you have went to the several steps and everybody have said upheld, 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 well, the CPO office is upheld. Because there is a tradition that they believe what the monthly paid would have said and what the daily rated worker would have said, they give no thing to that. And then now something new has happened. In the earlier days, there was something what you call personal industrial relations officers, PR, which was primarily to read the collective agreement and see what is inserted in the collective agreement. Now that they have human resource personnel, knows absolutely, starting from the CPO's office. And James Lambert is not afraid to say it to them. What is going on there? I am also a representative on the UNIMED. And today is the meeting, but the Communications and Research and Training Department summons me that I have to be here. So that is the reason why I said, Street, both of us are there. You go, I will see. But I would listen some part there. And what we had agreed upon, and Street would have delivered it, saying to them, you might have heard me shouting early on, that we are of the view that we should be part of the administrative committee. And the chairperson there and the government representatives laugh as if it's a joke. That upset me a while ago. So I had was to say to them, those of you who sit in there, you're not contributing anything. Our members are contributing. We pay 1/3 and government pay 2/3, so we must be heard. Don't throw it off as if it's nothing of foolishness that we have said. And you must respect us. Because what they are doing now, particularly in the public places, they believe as the Prime Minister and the government of today is trying everything possible to extinguish trade union from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, it will never, ever happen. Never, ever happen. You know why? Because of the fact that there are unscrupulous employers out there that you have to deal on a daily basis. And in light of that, the great Dr. Williams, who was the father of the nation, thought it fit to insert it into the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago that everyone have a right to join a union join an association of your choice. And in light of that, that gives us the right, by way of a certificate that is given to us, to represent the workers out there. And that is what has to be done. Sometimes each and every one of us may not be the best, but at least men will go and men will come, but the organization will go on forever. That's the fact. That's the fact of it. So here we are. There is the grievance. So you know then that you have to go to a collective agreement and see where is the infringement, what is adversarial pertaining to what the worker came with. What do you do? That's the question. After it has been given, something has to be done. I just boast in this union over 40 years with all the big boys I met before, that one of the best grievance officers that ever come through NUGFW, James Lambert, they could take it in the pipe, they could smoke it and eat it. Nobody fools me with a grievance. None. Because I came and I learned. I learned right in here. And the point remains is, outside of that, you must have the charisma. You must be respected. So therefore, when you come and you walk into the room, they must be aware that there is a representative of the workers here. When I came into NUGFW, and so forth, when I passed here, that I'm county council and so forth, I see officers going here. They shirt here on the side, they do this, I say, what? And they say, Lambert, well, you know, the union have some ties, they have some way. Because that whole thing here, with the exception of here, was dilapidated. Rats and mice and everything is around here. That is how it was. Trees, mangoes, some tree all in the center with cars parked. That's how it is. I took the time. I chose the good ones, and those that look dirty, I washed them. And on morning, Lambert comes in, properly attired, and gone by the representative. And then they would have known someone is here. So I have developed that respect from the president of the state to the man on the street. And I've always said, do not allow good opportunities to bypass you. I got the opportunities and I ran with it. From councillor, 10 years in Carnal, opportunity in 2001, the Senate, 2012, and all that I've said there, I never went to any political leader or party and asked them that I would like to be that. Never. I don't want to go into all the details. It's not a platform for political speeches. You know? But I am saying the opportunities were given. And I embraced it, and the respect was developed. And I said to them, the union, because of the opportunity that you gave me in 2008, I will develop as much as possible as we could afford. The building that was there, I broke it down. We had a big building out there, you know, those who may not know. That was the head office in the car park out there. We had trees and things and all sorts of things. Then, sometime in 2005, 4-5, the then President Giuseppe rented out here. The hall was an open sepulchre. It didn't have barricade as how you're going there now and you're saying, what? Look how here become. There was them boy jail. Days where Shadow used to have the calypso singing open thing. And when I told myself in here, how could we be in the grass out there waiting and begging Cement and Waterfront to hold a meeting? Look the prime property we have. Let's organize it. You tell me I for you and see you would agree with me. But because it's PNM and rented out to progressive school, and we had was to pay $45,000 a month for about 3 to 4 years in St. Augustine. You may not know that. Yeah, that's where we used to be. And in Kent, when rainfall, we went out there with one bag cement to allow us. And one day, I was coming from St. Augustine, and I heard on the radio that the school had been completed and the school children will be removing from this. I drive straight in here. Then I saw they had some cubicles where the teachers, and where we are on stage, the principal was there. I say, here, James, develop there. Within a week or two, everybody from St. Augustine was here. We developed there, they become the office, fix cubicles, do this. How we think it was done? Your Jews is not my money, but you gave me a mandate that I should operate and develop here. And the little place that we had here, that whole thing there, transformed it to what it is today. Are you giving a clap for that, boy? Even that? Oh God, how much more can I do? You know? And this is serious. You see the bar out there? I sat out there. And some people would come in, oh God, I thirsty, you have water. You know, water run out. I could drink a beer, they had to go down the street on Park Street or go across to see on Charlotte Street. So I went to the then General Secretary. I said, Secretary, I feel see we could get some money and let's open some little canteen here now. When the members come in, it'll be too instead of going down here. He said, it's a good idea. We started, we built the kitchen. When I said, well, the bar, we had to furnish it. I have money to do that. We can't do that. I said, okay, I will do it. I went to the bank and furnished there. And if I tell you, I don't bet $1 with this thing that has been in operation. Not one as interest. Because it's more giveaway and friends come and this and we drink a beer and that it is. Socializing. You cannot have an organization of this nature and you're not socializing. It's not only the work. It's human being. We have to meet. We have to fraternize. We have to dance, hold each other and feel as human beings. Today, you see here, if you check with the secretary and the book, every week it's in demand. A wedding, a christening, a baby shower, a fete, a this or that. Socializing. Because here has become, but here will be built. Will be built. I wonder if I should tell you all this today. What time will we communicate? I don't want to eat up your time too much. And I said to you that the things that have to be done, I have to congratulate the predecessors. Pritchlow and them bought a property up in Sangre Grande, Paul Street. And it is on the table as I speak that it will be dealt with not later between late 24 and 2025. They did well, you know, this property belonged to us. And I said to the executive, how the hell we could be paying government taxes for here and here could generate income and we're not doing it. So when I break down the old building and I cut the mango trees, today we have a car park, people renting, we don't get an extra dollar. And then you could come and park free, and then you go, when carnival, we don't make a dollar. You have to think. and you have to invest. Because brothers and sisters, the grievances that we're speaking about, we could speak all day. What you do and how it's being done. So after you have received the complaint, you went into your manual and you saw what is supposed to be done. Then your approach towards the employer, those in authority, you must go with respect and discipline. Nothing whatsoever could be successful in the world if there is no discipline. Long-time trade unionists will go and kick down door and demand. Time has changed. You have to negotiate. You have to think and think smartly. So while some of you might be saying, Lambert old, what Lambert doing? I want them to know that this is old. The body might be getting old, but you see this? It's functioning like if it's 5 years. And therefore, while I say that, some of you are not aware because I have decided I'm not going and call press conference because the media and them don't give you what it wants. When you go and it is edited, they put what they want. And I always remember, notwithstanding what the government has done or continue to do to us, they're still our employer for now. And not everything that is being said, you as the leader go to criticize. So what is happening to us? We have a grievance, all that inculcated into a grievance because here we are from 2014, 2013 was the last time that you received an increase. It's a grievance. But it is a partnership. And therefore, 2012 and 2013, Lambert was the greatest human being on earth for the derivative workers. Why? Because no leader, not one of them, whether it's J. Tom or Phil this, Phil that, Phil whatever, knew how the 9 and the 12% came. It came primarily, that could be said openly, by James Lambert negotiating with the then government, and that is how it was given. Even the CPO indicating to us that we now get, I don't want to go into details how it started, it will take us only. And when we went back to him, he said, Lambert, you come to sign? I say, yes, if you give me something reasonable. He said, you now get 9% cotton one channel. You'll come back this year to get anything more, not only dead body. That time I was a big boy, jacket and tie, vice president of the Senate. You have to respect that. And when I went to the sources and I put down my argument, 12%, and we went and tell them we get 12%. They didn't know. And from then onward, we catch it, we ask, we can't get nothing. Because there is a change of government. And just imagine, we go to you, brothers and sisters, it is a grievance, all that form part of the grievance. And when we came, 6 months before the expiration of the last collective agreement, we are supposed to send in proposal. The union have never faulted. We ensured that the proposals went in. The government of the day has the right that when our proposals is being sent, they could write to us and what you call counter proposal. And they should have said to us, we no longer will be consolidating cola. They wait for 8 years. And on the day in question, when we are about to speak about finance and not consolidating cola, total disrespect. So it's not so much, brothers and sisters, about the 4% that they put on the table and what some of them, and then we had a traitor in Amalgamated, because they came here and sat on the table The president of Amalgamated across the prison there, contractors in San Fernando, Viceroy Street, and a few of us was there. And you know what they said? They said, Lambert, I would want you, James Lambert, to lead the negotiations for the 3 unions. And that's what I was doing. Here, the General Secretary are here. And a regularized contractors and all of them, central and local government and the Tobago House of Assembly was better paid than them. And I went and I said to them in 2013, how could we differentiate from payment when all of us is doing the same thing? All of us are considered to be daily rated workers, cleaning the drain, painting and doing this and whatnot. But we getting this and them getting that. It can't work. Ask them. And it was regularized. I want all you to know that I took the decision which was agreed upon by those at the General Council, that I did not go to the court because I knew that the 4% was inadequate. Forget that. But after all the security people and what have you and took it, that man we have there we call Prime Minister is not going to give anything further. But I want to know if there is still justice in Trinidad and Tobago. Because the allowance of the COLA, let me have it to the back of your mind as Stewards and Grievance, that could be taken away. That could be taken away because it is an allowance. I want you to understand. But there is a process how it must be taken away. You don't wait for 8 years and then come and tell this union and this leader you ain't consolidated. Each and every worker that sit here today that work in whatever ministry or corporation that work consecutively from 2014 to 16, arrears of COLA is $18,000. So they go just take $18,000 from us just so. That has been from the beginning, even before I know Henry Street, COLA was consolidated. When Dr. Williams died after we had the oil flow and it went down, Chambers come and oil and gas was $9 a barrel. Robinson came, same thing, then he go to Al something. And they never said to us that they're not consolidating. In 1986, when Robinson took over with Nile, the piece of steel, I say I wasn't supporting that. That was too heavy for my shoulder. So I didn't support that. And he suspended it. But some of us just forget. He suspended the COLA. He never took it away and said not paying. What it took from us was the 10% on the salaries of everybody. The oldest union that went to the court with that 10% was NUGFW. And the court ruled that it is the highest court in the land that took the 10%. We can't do nothing about it. It's only Parliament. We tried everyone that came after, and nobody gave back the 10%. But we enjoyed the suspension of the COLA. We got it. He didn't say that he got consolidating. And the most hurtful part of that, brothers and sisters, every time I speak about it, it hurts me. It's not only for you who are employed. But when you say to me that the people that have paid NUGFW for 2014, 16, 17, and you come and tell me 0.000%, no increase, no consolidation at COLA, they have absolutely nothing to get. How the hell you could treat people like that? If you are giving the 4% and you say, all right, we go consolidate, I say, all right, all you have a little to deal with that. But nothing, and we must just accept it as a union not to go to the court to hear our argument? That can't be right. The people paid. And this is the burning issue pertaining to that. So they start to scramble. The CPO started to scramble. The 19 we should have met, you know what they did? No evidence and argument. We sent in our word, we have a lawyer standby. Simpson and them must be down there with them. We are sitting down. When it was supposed, the court said, well, by so and so, they asked for a month. A month grace they asked for. Simpson? 31st of May. They say, give them again, Your Honor. We want to have 31st of May. Government agency, they grant them. We waiting. We waiting. We have sacrificed for 8 years. Let us wait for another year. Let us wait. Do what you have to do. So that is the burning grievance that is out there. I called the CPO. I said, Mr. CPO, last week, outside, I know that you're not happy with me because you're in the court. But there are other items, other proposals that has and could be dealt with. He shook his head, he said, yes, Lambert. I said we could meet and see what we could do meanwhile. We are not enemies. You're only following instructions. And I'm happy to announce on Friday of this week at 9 o'clock, we'll be going back to the CPU to deal with other issues that is inserted on the proposals. You know, one of the things that hurt me, you know, I could talk all day. One of the things that hurt me most of all, and I'm burning this human time, I have no friend to stop me, you know. It ain't no president general here today, you know. Today's your show. So I put in the proposal, it hurt me a lot. When the monthly paid, it has been alleged that they have done something not in keeping and they suspended. They get full pay. In our policemen all now in the States for over 5-6 years, full pay and suspension. I learned that contractors in Sacramento, when they go to say, but Mr. Lambert, we don't get full pay. I say, what the hell going on central and local government Tobago House? If you're prominent as a speak, you get half pay. And if you're not prominent, you're regular with 10 or 15 years, no pay. How the hell that could be fair? Something has to be done. And it only could be done by the trade union, and if NUGFW had to be the program will be there. And we discussed it with him. You know when he arrived, after he said, Lambert, you're getting 50, I could give you 85%. So that means you're getting 50 now. And it's still taxable. That is something else we're looking into. I said, no, I want 100%. When our members go out there and it has been alleged that they committed some whatever offense, full pay until the matter is being resolved. That will be discussed on Friday coming again. We have to stand up. There are several things that advantage is taken. I don't want to go through all the proposals. So yes, when you do so now, and then you approach the bosses as the shop steward and you say what the grievance is, what you must do. Brothers and sisters, shop steward, secretaries, presidents, whoever position you hold, ensure that when matters are reported, it is documented. You cannot go to the court if your matter just being said, I told her so and she told me so and he said that. They want to see documents. So not with that does not mean that you cannot resolve a grievance because you might know the CEO, you might know the superintendent or somebody, and all you could meet sometime over a drink in the shop and say it's way up now and it's being done. But when it's not being done, you write to them and you said, you understand? In summary here, based on what we have discussed, I am now officially writing indicating X, Y, and Z. So if in the event he did not do it, you could know then that you had reported it there and you go to the next step. If there are no next step and third step and fourth step again, you know, nothing is happening. Everything is upheld, upheld, upheld. But we have to continue to fight. We cannot give up. Brothers and sisters, we still have to say, thank God, notwithstanding all that I have said, that we didn't have to massive layoff. The pandemic came, COVID and things, but we're still there. So whilst we there, go to your work. We cannot afford to work 1 hour for 8 hours pay. Oh God, how much? I come into work and people with their shovel and their thing going home 7 o'clock and the work supposed to start 7. And when you're being fired, then you know the union. All the time I don't want no part of the union. I ain't minding man now, but and them are car to drive, not me. But when they give you that termination letter, that we have quite a few there, we had to face this book and say, give them a chance. We are your lawyers. Tell us the truth. And then we would deal with it. So therefore, read whatever little that is there here. Listen and look at it. Follow it. Pick up your collective agreement. Open it. See your grievance proceed. You know what? These fellas and them so wicked. Or you wouldn't believe, you know, because maybe sometimes you're not as close as I am. We have what you call the reform of local government. I went to the joint select meeting down at Parliament sometime in 2019, just before the pandemic. And if it was not for the presentation made, the reform of local government would have already taken place and it would have been signed. And when I came out from there, CEOs and them up to yesterday, I was speaking to the CEO, they don't know what is the status pertaining to the reform of local government. And when I finished with them there, the chairman, Mr. Lambert, we heard you. What we didn't hear right and tell us. That chairman. You know what they did? They went into this collective agreement and our grievance procedure and disciplinary code, and they inserted it into the act of the reform of local government. So it becomes the property of Parliament. Whilst when we go, this is negotiable. So we could change parts and what have you. But when it is inserted into the act, and they make them executive chairman and executive council, and they insert the disciplinary and grievance procedure, only Parliament could amend it, not the union. I wrote to that then Alvary up there. I spoke with him. He said, but you know, I didn't notice it. I will get back to you. Up to now, I'm still waiting for you to get back to you. But they're talking about reform of local government. As I told you, the parliamentarian, women still urinated in the bush. Nothing is being placed in the reform of local government for daily rated workers. Nothing. All what they want to do, give councillors more authority and power to see how much money that they could give as gifts or receive as gifts. I was a councillor, so I know it for 10 years, so they can't fool me. But let us not go into that. The time will come when I will have all the press conferences and we'll deal with what we have to do. Brothers and sisters, the UNIMED, as what we did is still going on here, is one of the best things that we did in 2002. And all benefiting from it.
That surgery, so until you get back to back. It helps. But what we want to do, some of the surpluses that came through the plan, they want to take it to give to Sajiko because that is different. And I said to them, we are satisfied where it is. Who are administrating the plan, we are satisfied. And therefore we have a say. You cannot take in the short man down there in the Ministry of Finance to give to all your friends and we satisfied to what we have here. They would not renew the administrative plan, they will not give them the land. They had no other choice. I think I had to go to the court, we're going. You know the reason why? Because you and I paying one thing. So if I am involved, you cannot take it and do what you want with it, when you want and how you want. And that is how we are saying now. You see how it used to be? 10,000, we bring it to 50,000, we bring to that, glasses and this and that, you could change it when you want. Everything has improved. It didn't improve because the people who the government said improve it. The union representative is the one that gets it to move. Tell us where you see how I go to the meeting today? They're happy because I don't play. Don't come with stupidness wrong me. And we are saying, when people become older like me and you want to retire, if then you don't want money, you have to have a provision pertaining to this, that this should go for a period of time. Maybe the government will not continue to pay the tutors, but if you have yourself, as you have been doing, decide that you want to contribute, we must be given the opportunity to do it. And those are some of the things. We went and we told them that we want to administrate the plan. Let us handle our own plan. Because I know the vision that is there to handle it, I wouldn't tell them that, oh, government put in to charge all you surely. I say yes. Because all you eating out the surplus that is there now, when we had 21 million surplus and the monthly paid and teachers bought, that is how they wanted to take the day to give to such schools. Brothers and sisters, we dare to ensure your business is being upheld and your business is going down. You may not like the time frame pertaining to that because it's a process. Do not give up. I just read the Bible and it says, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. So in light of that, I know time off that they want to return. Any time. 12 o'clock on? Huh? Oh, I know we have some questions. Just a minute. Because I know earlier today, time so 90% all you home. Or you're asking for overtime. If there are no overtime, let me deal with our business today. And all you organize lunch? Yes, there is lunch. You're right. So we working still a little, I'll give up just now. You understand? We know when it's our first 7 and 8 and 10, we home. 11, oh God, that is union lunch. But we doing a little sacrifice for we own benefit today. And in light of that, I want to say to you that, brothers and sisters, there is also an election that will be taking place. And the election will be held on the 28th of October. And the question that has been asked, Lambert, what are you doing? You're going back, some say too old, let somebody go back. You know what I did? I called a meeting of the faithful there. And 90 of 100% say the timing is not right. We have too many things to complete to leave now. So I said in essence, those who like it or who dislike it, Lambert will be running for President General on the 28th of October 2024. As long as God gives me the health and strength, you know why? I am a member of NIB. I am a member of NIB. When I leave, what time is the NIB meeting? 1 o'clock. And they will be glad when I'm there. Because NIB plays a very pivotal role as it operates with the social aspect of Trinidad and Tobago, the pension and all social things. And they have already intimated that we must go at 65 years. Some people is asking why Lambert want to go at 65 years. It's not that Lambert want to go at 65 years, it's because of the fact that no island in the Caribbean send derivative workers home at 60 years. No, do it yourself. They just increase judges to go at 70 years. Couple days, young, strong man with 60 years telling them they have to go home. And the point remains is they cannot be able to sustain your NIS and all that you have presently based on the depletion of membership, your contribution to sustain that they must go at 65. And NUGFW totally supported it. And I made a presentation by the short man in the Ministry of Finance. Because the point remains, we represent the water workers. They go at 65. They go at 65. Contractors in San Fernando, the daily rated workers go at 65. How the hell central and local government must go at 60? Let there be equity amongst us. If it's good for Tom, it's not good for Harry. That does not mean if you want to go home early, because as I speak, who have attained the age of 50, you can go home. You don't have to wait. But I am saying too many strong men and women going home, and when they send you home, we have no pension. So when the little thing given to you, what we call severance and gratuity, sometimes everybody wants their children to go UE. You want them to be more academically inclined than we were. And then, you know, sometimes your house and finish. You get this little pittance based on the service. Well, you know the men in the workers. When they hear arguing, getting the severance today, they buy the bank bills. The women buy the bank. Because when you're in there, you have one woman, you have friends. So when they say, well, you know, Lambert going to retire, Lambert money coming Monday. So by the time you give this one, and then you give that one, your money deplete. So what we want is a pension to sustain us. Not everyone stay 2 weeks in a month and all kind of thing, and when you're done, you get $200,000. Nowadays, $100,000 is nothing. So brothers and sisters, plenty of work is to be done. God give this building will be built it on. We're building some houses up in Cuba out there, Lupino. We got a put a land from London and Tobago. And those are the things that we intend to do. So we have, again, the 65 years, we have the pension, we have the matter, the court to deal with. So by the grace of God, when you go to the polls, remember that Lambert have all these things to do. So I want to thank you and may God bless all of us. Oh, and then they remind me that you might have some questions. Yes. The people online, yes. Well, I've been told that the people online have informed the Director of Communication, Research and Trading that there is an old collective agreement that expired since in 2013. How are you going to deal with them? Well, for your information, the old collective agreement, as you call it, continues to operate until there is a new collective agreement. Until you have a signed collective agreement. So brothers and sisters that is listening, the old collective agreement still stands. So your grievance procedures and all that is within it still stands. So that's the answer. Any other question or clarification from anybody? No, but yes. Give the person the mic. Somebody help the lady start mic.
Hello.
Hi, good day, comrades. Good day, Mr. Lambert. I'm not sure if you recall, I was the person that in the convention last year would asked about this NIS and retiring at 65, and you all said that that was not true. When we were hearing that it was a rumor that when you retire at 60, NIS was taking 30% of your NIS if you retire at 60 and not 65. Now we're hearing that retirement age is being suggested to be 65. But I had also mentioned if you will put into consideration for people who are physically, mentally, right, and health-wise to drive. So that cannot go beyond the 60 if provisions will be made for these people, right? Because let's be real, not everybody, when they reach 60, they take care of their body in a way to be able to go forth. That was one of the questions, as well as we raised the issues concerning the allowances for, you say, in terms of most people don't use cutlass and files. Most people use waka. But we ask that small machine operator be considered as one of the provisions to be enlisted so that instead of laborers, they could be able to be granted to the highest and at the same time covered in terms of if something was to happen to them.
The only time that something becomes authentic is when we sit and meet. As it relates, I have been advocating throughout the years that we should go at 65. But surety to enable you to go and say there is amendments that must be made pertaining to the NIS. You must make amendment to all this. Because if you are 60 and you're going at 65, adjustment has to be made. The government at the time did not indicate such until NIB, of which I am a director, intimated to them that you must go at that. And therefore, they formed a committee, and we were not involved with it. We are on a committee with the pension, but not the 65 years. So all the provisions that is supposed to be inserted within that 65 years, at some time we must have to negotiate it. And those are the things that we will put forward pertaining to that aspect of this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Second question, ma'am?
Concerning, we were saying that with technology, that was the theme of the convention. We have laborers, right, who are using small machine operators as workers, and they get a lot more work done. But based on the fact that as a laborer, you get a lower classification pay, but they're doing operating machinery, and we're asking if provisions, if something can be done.
As we speak, part of the proposals of which will be dealt with on Friday, we have already intimated to the CPO that people who use workers will now be graduated to what you call LU.
Okay.
Right? Life equipment operators. We are taking care. We have a situation coming up from Siparian where they use the old collective agreement because the collective agreement has some ambiguity in it. And if you're not there to understand the spirit of how it was done, you will incline to go wrong. And they are saying that they are not paying the allowances pertaining to what they were doing. Some was paid and some not paid. Because some prominent secretaries sent out there and said, based on the tool that they cannot pay them that allowance in the past. And we met with the CPO, and whilst I understand that some normally will be paid, they give them an allowance, some pay $20, some pay $25, but it will be regularized, and I'm hoping then that when we meet, that will be one of the things that will be regularized.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert.
There will be equity as it relates to the payment.
Last question.
Yes, thanks.
I am a shop steward on a station, and one of the burning questions, I don't know if you guys are shop stewards have the same problem. The workers are coming to us and saying, well, to me, saying, if you are my shop steward, how come the union is not lazy to let the shop steward bring the information and say, you all are going forward a proposal, right, to get increases for workers, but workers don't know what it is you all propose. We know government proposed 4%, but the workers saying, so what is my union proposing for me? And how come we not able to know what it is you all have and bring it forward to the table?
20% we had proposed. 20% we had proposed. And let us say something to you. Whenever the union is structured in such a way, could we have Wallis Island? The union is structured in such a way that you have the administration which comprised of the President General and the General Secretary. You have, in the absence, you have the National Executive. And after the National Executive comprised of the 15 elected leaders, you have what you call the General Council. So when there is a proposal, we will send the message to the section, division, and so forth, indicating that is what the proposals are, and we normally invite some of the people from their individual category, and that is how it's been done. You cannot invite each and every one, 1,000 or 15,000 people to go to negotiate a collective agreement. And the other thing is that I have a problem with, and you have rightly said, the workers say, how you don't know? Why you don't know? That is the question you should reflect in your mind. What prevents the shop from coming and say, X, Y, and Z, the members have been asking John, Tom, and Harry, and we don't know. When we have General Council and you give them the information, the purpose of the General Council is to disseminate the information to the workers out there. But they're not doing that. They're keeping it for themselves and they're blaming Lambert and telling me nothing.
Yeah, because we are some of the LROs and they weren't able to tell us exactly.
Because they're not interested in knowing. They just go and sign, take the allowances, and they don't come.
Well, I think something has to be done because we are the ones getting the lamp on the case,
Madam,
right?
Madam, I am saying to you, while we expect to have the committee at some time to come to ensure there is some sort of numeration given to shop. When you don't know, come to Lambert, I will pay your passage back when I come.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert, I will.
And that is what we have to do. Yes, brother. It's two people there.
Buddy.
Dion, the financial secretary for the health section. We wanted to find out if any proposals or negotiations going on in regards to the new collective agreements and if a date is set.
For health?
From the collective agreement in regards to the new one.
From the RHA?
Yeah, for health, yeah, from the RHA.
We have sent in proposals since in 2014 pertaining to the RHA. And for whatever reason, we have been trying up to last week. I called Blake. Blake told me that he has been trying and calling back Monday, only to see and heard that all you had 12 babies that all you destroyed across the. So Blake can't see about that now. 12 babies lost, so he could not have responded as you would have liked to.
Apparently it's 18, Mr. Lambert.
It's 18 now, it's grown. So as soon we have been trying because we have realized the government of the day has not yet given approval for the RHAs and the statutory bodies. I have just started negotiations with HDC. And I am so fortunate that HDC has always been the front runner from 2013 and 12 and 13 when we got the increase. The discussion was held by HDC, what we got. And I have negotiated with HDC. And HDC have agreed 2 months ago to consolidate the program. HDC have agreed, I could say it publicly, it went to the board and she has agreed. And in light of that, the CPO did not consolidate and he told us for central and local government, Lambert, I will fix how you're going for cola, which is $9 all you're receiving now. What you giving me an increase to say take $2. So if you bring 9, you bring it to 11. But no consolidation. HDC have agreed the cola will be $3 and then make it 12, and then there will be consolidation. And the new agreement, then we could ask for further increase. It has been sent to the board. The board has agreed. It was done by the short man by something. So we just wait. So the account waits to sign. And that will be the vehicle. That will be the vehicle for when we reach in the court. We have started HDC. We have a meeting again next week, the prominent establishment. We are dealing with it presently because HDC had 700 vacancies. 700. Just imagine you're running a union and you have 700 vacancies. Let us assume out of the 700 vacancies, 500 was paying dues. The union is being depleted, and therefore the income of the union has depleted to the extent. So what we would like to do and give to you as we have been doing before, it cannot be done as we would like to. But praise God, we have a team with managing what there is, and we will ensure what there has to be done will be done. But that is just a fine example. I have been to Tanapuna yesterday. We have now agreed that the prominent establishment is on the 30th, and they will be done here in this room because they're doing some rehabilitation on there. And they will come down here for it to start the list. Because when you have a prime minister go publicly and say there will be no filling of vacancies publicly in Belmont, nobody ain't taking us on. And I really want today to publicly state we are so happy, not saying that it doesn't have challenges. The private sector that we represent is doing much better than the public sector. The private sector is doing much better than the public sector. But we are here to fight, and we will continue to fight. That is the reason why we have that lovely song where you sing, "Holy forth, we are coming." Right? Any more questions?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aaron Dixon again, representing Saparo Corporation. I just want
No, where you're representing?
Saparo Borough Corporation.
Okay.
I just want proper confirmation going back to the retirement age. As far as I understand, they're stating that you can retire at the age of 50 years.
No, presently.
Right now, presently,
Yeah.
and you can go home with the full package as if you retire at the age of 65 or 60.
No. If you retire now, the collective agreement still stands until we sign a new collective agreement. If you retire at 50 or 55 years, before you reach 60, you will get the benefits up to the period that you have lived. Full period up to the service that you have accrued presently. But therefore, if you want to go at 65, it's only when we sign. And I am looking forward to the media review. Because everybody said elections coming national, and in light of that, they will start to throw things on workers. I can't wait. Let them come. We will receive all, but they will go. That is all I have to say. Thanks. Anybody else?
Hi, good day, Mr. Lambert and comrades. My name is Rodrigo Ramnarayan from Princestown Regional. I am a new shop steward, so it's nice being here and seeing what is going on. I have a question that borders on a little bit of personality because I have fallen in this bracket. I've been employed since 2003 under road and control evaluators. So it makes me almost 20 years effective service, but I cannot be promoted or demoted or do any other thing because my classification does not allow me to do such. Is anything being done presently to alleviate these situations for me and other evaluators, I guess, out there?
Okay, let her answer you because part of that. First question I will ask you, do you have a supervisor that's among yourself? Where your supervisor comes from?
They are taken from sanitation overseas.
Lord have mercy. That has gone down the window for years. That is what used to be in the past. They used to have the road and control. My son works with road and control. My grandson works road and control. We used to have in the past that whenever the supervisions come for road and control, they used to go, as you rightly said, to the sanitation workers and promote them. We have stopped that over the years. That's still going on in the system. Nobody reported that to me until now. Because when you go in as a road and control, you have 6 weeks to go to learn something and learn the operation of the road and control evaluator. When you go in as a sanitation worker, when they recruit you, they give you a whole and a cutlass, you have nothing to go to take. They're training you for that. So therefore, the supervision ought to come from amongst yourself. How many people are there in the gang, in the team? Road and control. Everywhere in part of Spain, everywhere you could ask. We divide Lego Martin into two, and we have more supervisors now. Come from among them. We don't go back to sanitation workers. That is in the past. How many workers saw anything?
So
No, the whole answer me about how many road and control.
maybe about 12 now.
But you need a supervisor amongst you. Hello, before you leave, I want you to I will take some information and I will write to them to have a meeting pertaining to that aspect of it. Okay? So we'll talk after. No problem. You see, if you don't know, that is how they discuss Lambert. They're doing nothing for we going Lambert, they know how we got to it. And I have a team in San Fernando, the union is well structured. That is why they're saying Tobago today to have people with well structured. The President General would run everywhere. That is the reason why you have officers from every part that will come. You do it without trouble with Carib and them ugly and them will be done at something wrong. To let us know what has to be done. Don't sit down there and allow them to take advantage on you. And then we see you start to cuss me and say your union is doing nothing. But I will take the report and we will deal with it.
We have 2 questions, one from Gillian Williams from Saparia Borough Corporation. She has a grievance where the CEO is saying that traveling allowance cannot be paid from the work center, although the place of work is outside of the work area, which is past the 3-mile radius.
Work centers cannot be dealt with by the CEOs or so. Work center has to be negotiated between the majority union and the employer. But the corporations have the right to have work, I just missed the word, you know. They could also include, based on where the boxes are, work areas. They could have work areas that they could meet in collaboration with the union and said, well, you know, instead of you come in and report from here to there, we will have work areas and we will consider there to be a work area. And as you go outside of the 3-mile radius, then you are entitled. But we must be aware of where the work areas and who it has been agreed with upon. They cannot themselves unilaterally come and meet and say, this is a work area without the involvement of the union. So in light of that, that is how it ought to be. And then when you start reporting there, they become that area, become where you have the boxes or you meet on morning, they become your work area. And when you go outside of the 3 miles that you're entitled. So say to the lady as she has been debating to you, if they have been traveling outside of the 3 miles, we just write the tip, go to the office of update, if they fail, let they call and we will see that. But there are officers in San Fernando, they could go to Jason and them and let them take up the grievance pertaining to the non-payment of which they have not been receiving. If they did not get the satisfaction, I am ready to deal with it. Okay?
Thank you. And from Tobago is asking, there are LROs in Tobago who do not communicate with the shop stewards to have issues dealt with at management level, and they want to know what actions can be taken towards these LROs.
You see how difficult it is, brother? I don't know your name, the one with the beard there. The good one you have here. To be the President General. The responsibility of shop stewards is the responsibility of the division and sections. The President General Department does not go out there to elect shop stewards. It's the division and the section that elect them. So therefore, if there is a meeting pertaining to that, it is the responsibility of the sections and divisional officers to inform the shop stewards of what the problem is. I do not go in no area, no way, notwithstanding, where I go to attend to matters and have not informed the president, the secretary, or the grievance that I am here. I won't go grandy and play big boy and have a division and tell them that I have a meeting. Or go to, you understand? That is how it's supposed. So please, Tobago, inform your shop steward if they are part of where you're dealing with the matter, when it's taking place, so they could disseminate the information to the members. Okay? Anything else? Thank you very much for being good listeners. I think I deserve a better room to after. Thank you, comrade. Have a blessed day.
Question 1, referring to your shop steward's manual, demonstrate how you will take up a grievance by interviewing the worker. All right, so question 1, group 1 then.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Roger Mayer, shop steward for Agriculture North Region and Engineering. So we're doing this skit here. Hi, good day, ma'am. I heard you had an issue that needs some addressing by the union. Can you give me some particulars as to what did this happen?
Hi, my name is Kisha, and my colleague, Cindian and Liz. Hi. My name is Kisha, and my colleagues at the side of me is Liz and Cindian. We work at ABC Printing Company. So our term and condition has changed. We overheard it on the ground. So management has finally decided to hold a meeting. Long and behold, they came with a new contract. This is the contract. Page 3, you would see where our benefit was 100%. Yeah. So they changed all of our percentage to 50%. Our rate, benefit, interest, everything. A lot of us did not agree towards it. So they gave us a verbal termination. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so changed. New contract. Refusal. Yeah, refusal, which led to verbal termination. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I will be taking this matter up. Don't worry. What I will do is I will make arrangements to meet with management, and we will discuss as to how they came about with this new arrangement without consultation of the union. That's the first mistake they made here. Let's make up this thing and let's give all a piece of paper saying they're doing this, and I know nothing about this.
One question. What us to do knowing that we don't agree towards it? What is the next step moving forward?
The next step is I will meet with management and then we will take it from there. But in the interim of that, report for work as normal. Don't worry. Oh, I missed that part. Sorry. My God. Yeah, but to be good. I forgot to get something. I forget. Yeah. Yeah, we talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, no. Huh? So everybody was listening. I hear all your clapping. So did we notice anything based on the shop steward manual that was exceptional or didn't happen? Anybody could answer. Based on the shop steward manual, just now.
My recollection of the shop manual is the shop steward. What he should have done is interview the workers more clearly and give more detail, so that when he go into management, he go have everything in writing and have a more comprehensive way to present the case to management.
You all heard what Comrade Hagley said? Did we all hear what Comrade Hagley said? Right. Do you agree with him? Okay. So, what specifically was missing from the ingredients of handling a grievance? Did the shop steward ask about who was involved? Isn't that in the shop steward manual? Did the shop steward ask about what happened? Now let's set them up, because I'm sure here he asked about what happened. Go try that. Did the shop steward ask about where it happened? They told him. Did the shop steward ask when it happened? And did the shop steward ask about why it happened? So there were 5 ingredients in your shop steward manual and in your grievance handling that you were told to read about that some of you missed. After I told you this morning, you know what the shop steward did? He fulfilled the cool, the calm, and the collective. I know we get a little railroaded with the actual grievance, but you all were told to read, and based on what you're reading, you would do your skits or your presentation. And one of the things in the manual, it tells you about when you interviewing a worker, make sure and ask who. It is called the 5 W. Who, what, where, when, and why. And let me tell you something. You know what is critical about the when? Because if your matter is not settled along the grievance procedure, and you have to reach from when you go from a grievance to what you call a trade dispute, which is when you go to the Ministry of Labor, you have to tell the minister when the matter arrives. I really have to apologize, but that was supposed to be part of your grievance handling procedures. But we will learn as we go along. Because one of the things that I learned about being a shop steward and why it is all right. You see a big toe? Stomp your big toe and make your mistakes. Because it has somebody a little higher up the ladder to help correct it. Just don't neglect your duty. You all hear me? I hear all you was clapping for the president, you know, just now. All you on the thing like that. All right. I ain't begging for no clap. No, I ain't begging for no clap. I just want to be sure that you all understand what it is we're sharing with you. Because none of us carry the law in the breast pocket. And none of us could be turned to saints overnight. Even if the pastor come and dip you in water here, no. It's no guarantee that you turn a saint automatically. Okay? So, what other elements? Was there anything else? Well, let me give you what I have found to be the best way to interview a worker. When workers come to you to complain, particularly ones who are this aggressive and they just want, they don't want to hear nothing, allow them to sit down or to calm down. If you have to offer them water, if you have it, give it to them and allow them to tell the story. When they're telling the story, take mental notes or little notes. When they finish telling the story, then is when you start to write about who, what, when. Because if you're right, when they're telling you the story for the first time, you and all will write all kind of things where it has no relevance to the issue. Because in that story, you know where you're going to be hearing sometimes? I don't know why she don't leave me when she with the people, man. Or why she didn't study how she does come late and we just be here waiting. Or why she didn't study how she can write up the time sheet properly. Those are the kind of things you'll be hearing. And it had nothing to do with the grievance which you're going and deal with. You all hear me on that? So it is your job to discern out of that whole complaint that they're making at that point in time, to see whether what they're saying it have a grievance somewhere inside it. Okay, comrades? So, give the comrades another round of applause.
Pleasant good afternoon, comrades. We are the South General Branch. What's the South General Branch? Sorry.
Table down in the back,
All right, table down in the back. So what we really come to do is how we intend to strengthen the union. So our little skit contains where workers who are not unionized coming to the shop stewards here. So shop here use the shop here, you know. So here was the scene. I'll be walking like a runaway slave. When I check my pay slip, I see my 2 to 4 hour lunch missing. I come into you, you know. Because here what's going on. I hear you the union man here. So I really know what you're going to do about that.
Comrade, calm down. Come, sit down now. Sit down. Let me talk about this now. Sit down. Let me talk about this, please. Please, sir. Sit down. Thank you. Right. So, comrade, first to begin. Let us pay union dues.
Well, me have no time at all, your union, you know. You see all your union, man, me have no time at all, you know. Always only a set of whole talk, you know. It's pure pain with all you know. And I really have no time with all you right now.
Well, comrade, I can't help you unless you're financial with the union. I'm really willing to help you, but I'm financial.
What do you mean by financial?
You had to join the union. You had to be in the union. Is an organization. For me to represent you and your issue, you had to give me a little something so it.
What do you mean something, zakat?
There's no zakat. It's just a little dues coming out of your pay when you get paid towards the organization. We have people working. It's not just me alone.
So I want to know what the organization is doing for me because I hear 4% right through. 4%, and as far as I see, nothing going on for nobody. So what are you really going to do for me? Yes. I want to know how all you organizing my money. So I work like real hard.
So, comrade, again, I will tell you that you're not financial, and until you're financial, I will be able to work for you. Are you willing to join the union?
So when I join all you, the scene getting handled.
I handling you straight up.
You sure?
Straight up. You never hear what Paris?
I care about all your Paris, you know, and all your smart man.
But on a serious note, comrade, you need to be financial within the organization and for us to move forward. Are you willing to join?
My little something tell me to join, so I go join.
And with that too, what period was this that you're claiming for?
For last fortnight, brother.
No, you're joining yet, so I just taking notes because when you join, I will be starting to work for you one time, right? So the period was when?
Last fortnight. I hope you really work for me, you know.
Right. The supervisor was on the job?
Yeah, the supervisor, that man is a slave man, you know, a slave master.
What's the supervisor name?
John Jones.
Joe. So your PPE and thing, your protective clothing and everything, straight up your tools, you were getting proper tools to work with?
Boy, I just go and buy my own thing. Them people are
no, comrade. Here what's going on. When you start to pay me to work for you, this union going to ensure that you get the proper tools, PPE that you need. You'll get your money when you work, because when you get paid when you work, that is a mental stress, and that is hazardous in the workplace. Also, with the get down.
Did you have anything that we would have observed in the presentation or element that was missing?
Update on what you want in the presentation so that we're able to learn again more.
Well, you see, that would be relevant if it was a competition and you were being marked. But seeing as how when I on my feet as the chairman, is a good thing for all your meetings. So when I am on my feet as the chairman, head nigger in charge. The only way you could stop me is on a point of order or clarification. So you get next part of training there too. So any observation in terms of the presentation? None? Yes, because his agenda was, if you read the question, was how are you going to improve? Improve the union membership and whatnot to strengthen the union. So he get one more member.
Just thinking of perspective of the choice of groups are particularly because everybody will be seen.
Yes. That was
a bit more tactful.
yes. But while it is true, but it is a relevant question and statement that he's making. We have to be careful sometimes how we talk. Because when he say he had to give me a thing, really and truly it sounds like he was asking for some financial enhancement for him personally. Now, I want you to understand, as the shop steward, the union, by virtue of being a member, the union also belongs to you. So every cent that comes here is yours. Whether it's from the person next to you, whether it comes from you personally, or it comes from out externally, every cent that goes into the union coffers is yours. If all are we dead tomorrow, and you is the last union member remaining alive, all over $100 million worth of property and assets that the union has is yours. Yes. And that is in the Trade Union Act. Huh? So, every one of you are a shareholder. All right? Wait, come on, let me finish now. I'm here watching the phone. Yes. Now, the other thing that I observed, we have to be careful when people come to us with grievances to tell them, I'm going and deal with that for you and guarantee success. We have to be careful. Now, language could be interpreted so differently by different people. And some of our comrades that be vexed with me. But I have a way of the statement, be very careful with the language that I use. Nobody could ever tell them, say that I tell them, I'm going and fix this for you for sure, for sure. What you would hear me say, understand what you're doing, it look like it's a violation of your rights, and I will address it as soon as possible or immediately. But listen to me, it's no guarantee that it will resolve today or tomorrow. Because if you don't do that, you're creating an unreasonable expectation in the worker's mind that things going to happen now. And if it don't happen now, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road, guess what's going to happen? All the union, you see how the man come to join the union, they just now and you encourage him to join. You see the same thing I said, all the union men is a waste of time. Because he just remember, he's a union man too at that point in time. And all you take him money for nothing. That's what is going to happen. Sometimes they don't say it to your face, but they go and tell your friend next door, who was a member before them, or they will go on the road and tell people, here what is the consequences of that. You all ever hear that the best form of marketing is word of mouth? All ever hear that? You all ever hear that? Best form of marketing is word of mouth. And that is what trade unions guarantee. We guarantee word of mouth that when we represent people properly, our members who would have gotten good representation is going to go outside and say that union is a good union. Join. Two things happen. People who don't belong, workers who don't belong to our bargaining units are going to want to become a part of our bargaining units. And so we would strengthen the union by creating more bargaining units. The other thing that's going to happen, workers who are not currently members, where we have recognition, would now want to say, it looked like something good happening. Better become a part of that. You all hear me on that? Consequences of our action. I used to show you as shop stewards and union representatives how it would go. The only thing that could bypass that is you uphold your head with integrity. Okay? Next presentation. Referring to your shop stewards manual, demonstrate how will meet and treat with management. It's how you will meet and treat with management. Okay, take it away.
Good day, Mr. James. Ms. Desiree, Substeward, Kevin, Substeward.
Try and do talk as though you was tracking somebody. But the rest of them down on the back there could hear it. All right.
Mrs. Desiree, I, Kevin Fleming, come to address a situation to you concerning Ms. Sian today. Concerning some issues about height allowance. Ms. Sian on the 8th was proceeding doing a job and was exceeding the height of 10 feet.
On that day, she completed the task and she didn't get paid for the job she have done. I'd like to know, according to Article 12 of the collective agreement, say that anything exceeded over 10 feet, you must be paid height allowance. I'd like you to address that, bring that situation forward, and let me know what adjustment we could make concerning that.
Good day, Mr. Flynn. I really wasn't aware of the situation, and I will consult with the supervisor and set a date and time for a meeting, and we'll get to the bottom of the situation.
Thank you, Mr. James. As soon as possible, you could get back onto the union and let us know what steps is being taken. So Ms. Sian to get her pay as soon as possible. Thank you.
All right. Any comments? Any comments on the presentation? Let him the mic there. Right.
So, one thing I didn't hear you speak about in the presentation is, you said, Ms. Ramrup, does the company have a form that you will fill out saying that you work over and above 10 feet? Was that filled out by Ms. Ramrup, given to the supervisor? But you didn't present that to the manager. Right? So, just for the rest of the team, right? I've been mischievous. If a form is available, you have to follow the form. The worker who will be among the hours up there have to follow the form and have to present it to the manager. And then, secondly, you can't ask the manager to pay her because you don't know the grievance, because the pay packet, you didn't state that she got paid and it was not in her pay packet. You did not say she get paid and it was not in her pay packet. I'm listening to you. Right? So your grievance will only move from Ms. Ramrup not being paid after she pay received and it was not the height allowance was not paid because she was being paid. But she was not paid the actual hours working height allowance. So let me say the height allowance was $10. She would have been $80 short for the amount of hours she worked at the height. So that's what we'll pay attention to.
Thank you. Don't go yet if you see alone, if you have current training session. I know we become telling you about where you're doing, supposed to do that when you talk to me all the time. Right? Right. Any other comments, observations? Okay, so let me put in my 2 cents. None of us are geniuses, let's always remember that. Refrain to your shop stewards manuals, demonstrate how you will meet and treat with management. So my question to you all, did they demonstrate effectively meeting and treating with management? They demonstrated, but not effectively. That is my comment. And let me tell you one of the things that we should do. If you go into your shop steward manual, I remember which part of it. One of the things that it always tells you, you see time. When we meet today, don't tell me about I as management might get that kind of response. But when you as the shop steward, meeting, make sure and get time. We meet today. Today is the what? The 20 what? The 24th. I want an excuse. I want a response in 1 week time. That one of us tell you in the fullness of time. There's only one management that I didn't catch with that because they asked me, what do you mean by the fullness of time, Mr. Simpson? I said, as soon as I get back to you. And Sometimes we had to play them good games on management, but you as the shop steward have to be sure, because if management, you have to use that emotional intelligence that we talked about earlier on to know whether or not what information you're asking about may take a week or 2 weeks. But you, based on your what? Your grievance procedure. The grievance procedure sometimes tells you in some of it, because I know it's not really there word for word in all of it, management has to refer back to you or give you a response in 7 days' time, 14 days' time, 21 days' time. In particularly in those the daily rated agreement. If you look at it properly, you will see there is a timeline involved. You all saw that? 14 first, 7 after. So in Caribbean, 14 first, 7 after. In the daily rated collective agreement, in the grievance procedure, you will see timelines. When you write, when the employer must respond, and so on and so forth. And because through no fault of the union and the worker, a worker who was on suspension one time, the court said that it is unreasonable for the employer to keep the worker or the union waiting for all this length of time for a response or a final decision. And so it is important that in your discussion that you follow the timeline. And if you know the manager or the supervisor has no integrity at all, you know what you have to do them? If you possibly could, following our discussion, this morning, where we agreed that you will give me a response by such and such a date in accordance with the collective agreement. I wish to confirm that I concur with that agreement for your record. Something along that line. Now, what it does, it puts them in a kind of a sticky situation because timelines was agreed to. And if it has to go further, even if they don't answer, when it goes further, if the court decides to ask a question, what will you do? You have a letter showing that, see me, Your Honor, see the letter here? This letter, we agreed to this timeline, and the employer violated that. You all hear me? Now, as time goes along, people like myself, we just break that rule. But remember, those employers, we would have already have a reputation. And those employers, when they do it, they know it could have a backlash. But when we're starting, follow the rules. Get them to respect you in terms of your office as a shop steward. We have a comment from Tobago or online. Yeah.
Comments from Maurice Best of Agriculture and Allied Workers section on this last presentation here. He stated that a timely response, as in time span, should be given according to the grievance procedure, and also when the shop steward brought up the worker's matter, he should have indicated the worker's substantive post and grade.
Thank you, Maurice. Do we agree with that? What Maurice said? So you know what you just do there as a shop steward? What you just do? You stomp your big toe. The little pain is nothing, because the next time you're not going to make the same mistake. And that is how we grow. Don't feel ashamed, because nobody could fault you totally for making mistakes. They go kill me because they go feel I here too long. But you are a shop steward. You coming up the ladder. nobody supposed to fault you for making simple errors sometimes. Because as long as those simple errors, when you make them, you don't continue them and you learn from them and go. Okay? And I only say that because I know all you, I know some of you who used to be, before you became shop stewards, how all your mouth was, you don't feel like you know, and I live in some la la land. No. All right? So, next question. Which is the next question? Next team. Thank the cameras. Thank you all. Which is the question you are going to be dealing with? Yeah. Demonstrate by way of scenario the duties of a shop steward. Okay. Put on the mic when you're ready. So you're all doing a skit also? Or you're going to do a presentation? Which one?
Yeah.
And a playing hero here now, yeah? I know this one here. See this shop steward here? I know her. I know her mouth is not soft. So if she's talking to all you soft like she's like kitty cat, don't let that fool you. I know it could go louder. So don't let me stop you. Go ahead.
So I'm to you. How you cut my time? You mad or this money coming out of your pocket or?
Mr. Alvarez, every day you come to work, you have a problem. Yesterday is your foot. The day before was your hand.
I come to work.
What is your
That
problem?
was the whole point of it. I reached to work, I reported to work, and I'm supposed to be paid. I was here.
Mr. Alvarez, you came to work and did nothing. You just came and sat down, but everybody else was working.
Look, I tell all of the chemical I'm working with, not agreeing with me, and I present myself on work.
Mr. Alvarez,
I don't want to hear all it again. Make sure all my time inside. As a matter of fact, I go into my union about this.
that is your right, ma'am.
Union, I fed up at this man now. I can't work with you again. Every week this man cutting my time for no.
What is the problem here?
Watch my face slip. Short pay again.
Come, sit down. Yeah, what? Right. Let's help you, right?
I pay union too.
All right, you need to calm yourself, right? I am a member of the union, I represent the union, and I can pick up your pay and your dues.
I pay my dues. Look at you on the face. Deduction, union, NUGFW.
Right, cool, I'll see you next. So, you come to work, and he want to pay you.
He don't want to pay me.
But what is the matter? Where is the matter?
Going for it. So they comply and then something come to work. Comply, no, I come to it. So I cannot deal with that anymore.
All right, okay, cool. I'm going to take up this matter. And in fact, let me go. I'm going to take up this matter before the safety office, and then I'll come and talk to you supervisor. Let me go. All right? You have a chat with the safety officer here, right? And then I will go and deal with the supervisor. Talk to she, I'm coming back. Yes, good day, Mr. Rohan. So I hear you have an implication with one of the workers. I'm a member of the union representing workers, right? So I come to find out what's taking place. Because I can't take one side of the story and find out what's happening on your side. So tell me again.
Yes, every day this young lady comes to work is a problem. Everybody else on the team functions except her. She always seems to have a problem. I have been lenient, days in, days out. For weeks I've been lenient with her. But I mean, it's unfair to all the other workers that she's the only person not functioning.
But she don't want to work.
Every day is a problem.
Right? But what she now show me this is an indication on she I saw it for myself. I take it before the supervisor, not the supervisor, the safety officer. Right? And from here we'll deal with the matter. You cannot touch it time, you have to pay it. I as a union representative stand up for my worker.
You notice when the shop steward come to the management, how his voice dipped from when he was talking to the worker who didn't have no representation. It dipped. It got less aggressive. You find so? Continue. Is it nice here of it? All right, so for time? All right. They say they're playing for time. Thank you very much. Any comments on what happened there just now? I know all they're getting skills, so let me hear. Let me hear any comments. Well, the comments could be a suggestion or something.
Huh? All right, yes, so let me repeat. There's two constructive comments, right? And then Mama come right, she kept answer, but she should mic check. Right? One is when it went to the supervisor or the foreman, the aggrieved worker was not present. Right? Supposed to be present in that meeting with the manager. And two, if the safety officer is part of the union team, because the union have safety officers now, they're supposed to accompany you and the aggrieved worker in the room, because what about if you come back out of that meeting and it wasn't in favor of the employee? The first liable you're going to get is you and the manager is friend, right? Because the worker was not present to hear how you spoke with the manager and what kind of decision you and the manager agreement you came to.
All right, we have another comment down in the back. Thank you, Ugly. I thought I'm dealing with that young boy with the captain.
What I didn't see was a record of the grievance procedure being followed. Okay.
The grievance procedure?
Well, they're supposed
or
to
the
record.
grievance method? Which one?
Well, yeah, because you're supposed to take time, date time. You understand?
Well, yeah, so that is the grievance method.
Well, all right, method.
Right? The grievance handling method.
Yeah, grievance handling method.
Okay.
When the union rep went to management, the union rep didn't state the worker's name. I think that was very important. How would management know which worker you're talking about?
Thank you. Any more comments? And what they say is true. Always remember, before I say anything, let me add on my comment, last comment, because the others would have gotten everything. Who is D? In the shop steward's comments, he said D. You remember doing that? Let me hear what D will say. Who was D? And when you went to the manager, you said DC. Who is D? Remember, in your shop steward manual, you have to record what, who, what, when, where, and why. Always keep that at the back of your head. Do it like if But I come from Massey Stores, and we had a thing called the TQM method or whatever. And it just tell you all work is a process. So when you're doing, as you're doing your shop steward duties, remember all work is a process. And the first thing you do, aside from listening to the worker, you have your notebook and your pen or your pencil ready and your guideline jot down. They may have to see it, but they will see you doing something. And you will know, remember, to keep cool, calm, and collective. Watch the worker in the eye, start to talk now. So who was involved in this issue? When this happened? Where it happened? All those are the questions that you will be asking. Practice it. And in time you will find you will get adept at it. In fact, you will get so adept at it, you won't even feel you need this. Because in conversation, in listening to the worker, something that I didn't tell all you to do also, you have to learn to empathize. And don't empathize like a hypocrite. Empathize genuinely, even though you might not have a clue. I'm really sorry to hear that's going on with you. And I would really try to help to make sure that it fixed. But I ain't giving you no guarantee. But I could see you hurting and I could understand where you're going through. Because something some of us neglect as union officers at times. You know one of the things workers does too? A worker will come by you for 10 grievances for a week. And if you go to playing bad mind and throw it back in the face, say what? You represent me, I paying dues, I paying for your representation. So you do me no favor. But you know what it is? They will never forget. Yeah, I would have, you hear James talk about it. But you know what workers would never forget? Picture yourself as a worker. Hey, how are you going? How are your children? You know, I see you going through something. Come and talk to me. Those are the things that people remember. I really hope you feel better. Look at card to say, well, look, a get well card. That is if you could afford it. A phone call, a text message. The matter ain't resolved yet. But I just keep in score with you. Now that one we just neglect plenty. We don't communicate them things at all. That's one of the greatest communication breakdown in this union. To keep workers up to date. But workers appreciate the fact that you went outside of your limit to show a concern for them aside from the grievance. Do I ever forget that? And people will laugh at me because when you see we have staff meetings sometimes, I always tell people this organization have a mission statement, a value statement. And our mission statement is, if all you feel all what we're telling you here is blabber, it exists to promote social, the economic, and political well-being of its membership. To provide, notice, what is I just tell you to do there? What empathy, right? Concern for them and what's going on around them. Social. Social don't mean throwing parties and family day only. It means showing concern for what's happening in your life. Okay? The economic, that will be negotiating pay increase and thing. The political, that is where we lobby politicians to try and get them in with favor. Well, you know the short man, he go here we, but you don't listen. All right? And providing total representation and quality service. That is achieved by creating value for the organization stakeholders through efficient operations while building a strong base of knowledgeable workers in a viable organization. Everything that we did here today points to this. And so when we are lacking in that, your responsibility, not just mine, your responsibility is to say, union, me, part of me, falling short here. And you could be wrong, because you will have an interpretation based on what you are exposed to. But if you're feeling it, don't sit by and let people feel that you're totally happy. You don't know nothing. Allow the wrong people to come and put the wrong message in your head, and you go away hating the union. That is you. Shop stewards and representation. One more presentation. So somebody go get away. One more presentation. Who coming? Please outline important information a shop steward must retain from a member when reporting on unsettled grievance to the union. Please note that you can be creative in your response. Take it out.
I'd like to add that our skit is based on an actual ongoing grievance.
Go charge you, what you see? Oh, check out. Oh, God. Come in now. Take out and see what's going on. I never going on now. I just had a conversation with the administrator, because, there was an agreement some time ago based on the stench coming from the kitchen.
Right, yeah.
And the workers were about to go home early. So I just want to speak to the, your staff, you and your staff concerning what she said to me now. She said that, you see that early hour that they're leaving, they cannot leave before they complete 4 hours. You understand? And if they do that, I cut in the time.
Well, they want to tell them, and so them call them in.
Call them.
Afro, call your co-workers and come now. You check, I want to have a little conversation with all you. All right, so let him go ahead and take the floor.
Well, as I was telling the sergeant earlier, that apparently, you see that all they leaving, if all they don't make 4 hours, I cut in all their time. You understand? Because the administrator is shocked, man, I can't do otherwise.
Nah. I thought all settle the agreement. Nah, I going to the union, boy. I going by the shop, boy. Nah, I going by the shop, sir. Come. Good day, Mr. Shopsteward. We have another problem.
Good day, what's going on?
We have another problem.
Yeah, what's going on? You remember sometime in November last year, they give you a memo saying that we could go early?
Yeah.
The checker now come and hold a meeting and telling we had to that cut out. We had to work 4 hours or we pay cut. What's happening, is that?
All right, hold on, sit down there. What happened just now? Or...
Yeah, just now they hear hold a meeting and telling us we had to work 4 hours or we pay cut. We know that was settled already.
Time, that one's. Chartan and the checker.
Yeah, the chartan and the checker.
From domestic?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll talk to the chartan and we're going to get to the bottom of that.
But why want to know what's going on with the memo? But I ain't come again then.
After they reneging on it, they call on a block. I believe they call on a block.
We have to talk to them, with the memo. So what we doing?
No management would have to talk to that person already, so they call on a block, somebody running rapid.
Oh, well, I know the chart because it's amazing that the. Oh, all right. Check out Mr. Duncan. But he's.
Okay, so the shop steward is in the safety part, or you're saying for the audience?
Yeah, but
Now, only provoking you all because I wanted to see how they go along, how people take for granted that somebody knows. Always assume that people don't know. All right. One of my mentors always tell me that when you take it for granted, people know, and that is not true. If the doctor says you don't always know. So always when you're sitting with workers, always assume that they don't know. It doesn't matter if you repeat yourself 10 times. Always assume they don't know. Them say you're getting more. So no, those of us who repeat themselves 10 times to the children. So we have better ways. Well, all right, so thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. The audience got a lot smaller, and people had to leave. I did not get, so those of you who online, before you run away, the men's forum in the union still exists, and we're having a meeting Friday morning at 10, and we're having a special guest. Bring a male friend. Bring a friend, but let the friend be male. This is an opportunity for men to gather. So, are there any other questions for the presentation or anything like that? Sure. Question or statement? Okay.
Pertaining to the skit before, with the worker who said she have an eye problem and whatnot, is it possible that the shop steward would have asked her that, or suggest to her she goes for medical just in case management comes down and really, kind of hold on to the fact that she's not working?
So the question or the statement that the sister make pertains to the other presentation when the worker said that she had an eye problem and the chemicals was affecting her. So she is suggesting, rather than the guy tell her comply and complain, one of the things that he could have also done is to recommend that she goes away from that area, or you should not be allowed to work, period, because of what has affected you. And it now becomes what? When they say you shouldn't work, when the doctor tells you you shouldn't work, what is happening there? It will become, what the doctor will give you, what the doctor give you. So it is important to ensure that when it is recorded as injury leave. And the court say injury leave, even though it's a sick leave, is not sick leave. Because you get injured on the job. You all hear that, huh? Right. So, if there are no more questions, and most people go on, a man asked me if management, or that is not part of the shop steward manual, but a man asked me if management renege on an agreement after signing off on it, what it is. That is refusal to meet and treat in good faith. And they're human, so you go to them and you give them an opportunity to fix it. And when you give them the opportunity to fix it and they refuse to, or they don't do it, then go down by the court, tell them they refuse to meet and treat in good faith, deal with them in court. Of course, you got to explain yourself. And you got to be a little patient because you know it's hard time in the court. And I wanted to point out something, especially for daily rated workers, even for those who are online. In the preamble of your collective agreement, in most collective agreements, you have, remember, grievance is a violation of the collective agreement, right? So in the preamble of the collective agreement, they have a part that a lot of readers not pay attention to. It tells you that this agreement is to maintain peace, productivity, and efficient economic activity throughout the life of the agreement. And that the union and the management agree to meet and treat on all issues affecting workers. You want to see that? Or just pay attention to that in all the agreement? Because some people, particularly those in management, who come from wee belly, because none of them ain't born in Smorings or in no bourgeois class neighborhood. None of them inside of it. None. Not one. I'm talking specifically to you health workers now. They just forget that in serving the master, that they're born inside of the cane field or the coffee field, just like me. And they just want to pretend that if they behave like the boss, that it will make them better. Because they went confession last week Sunday, and they tell the priest, I do wrong. No. Industrial relations, with all the things that it talks about human relations. And we are responsible as human beings to conduct ourselves in a morally, spiritually strong characteristic, a way with good character that will allow us to be decent with each other. And that is the way we maintain industrial peace and productivity and provide good economic activity. Some people think that you get good economic productivity by emasculating you and trying to treat you less than a human being. Sometimes, I would tell any shop steward, if it reaches too far, don't say I see, but I hope or they get angry enough that not one or two people must rise up, but 100% of the membership. And then they will come and say, we didn't know and we're sorry. Right? Madam Facilitator, I want to thank you all for listening. I hope that in this session you were able to be provided with some inkling in terms of the grievance handling. And I would encourage you to go and read more, study more, and embrace what the collective agreement has in it and what being a shop steward and a good worker representative is about. Thank you, comrades. I will turn you over. Tobago wants me to repeat the sick leave issue. If you get in, I mean, we're saying it in the context of the lady who spoke earlier on from Point that said that she had an issue with her eyes. We have to, in referring the matter, when she goes to the doctor, well, I say medical professional just now, but I'm saying doctor to make sure people be clear what I'm talking about. And she gets that paper that says sick leave. Remember that when it is being recorded, it should not be recorded as just sick leave. It must be recorded as injury leave, because the nature or the primary reason for her illness came from as a consequence of her job. All you good with that, Tobago? Right. So thank you, comrades.